All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back. So for those of you who are joining us for the first half, we just finished up the youth, all the children's stuff for the Show Your Heart Out horse show series, the virtual horse show. This has been a lot of fun. So we're going to move into the amateur and the open. I'll be your judge for this evening. Jeremy LaRose. I'm AQHA, APHA, all-around horse trainer / judge. Been an AQHA professional horseman for a few years, and just love judging, right? So love critiquing, love helping people. So if you're not familiar with who I am and what I do, we run an educational site where we help people be better riders. We help them work with their horses and show people that you can achieve high-end results without being abusive, without being abrasive with your horse. You can work with them and communicate with them. And that's kind of what we're all about here. So that being said, we're going to take up a little bit different perspective on live judging, right? I don't know if it's ever been done before, where we're going to try to help every exhibitor get as much help as we can throughout the pattern, give them a fair shot at each class. We want this to be educational. This is for a good cause. It's for the Show Your Heart Out equine facility there. Those guys are awesome out there. So they asked me to come on here and help you guys out, and hopefully we can make everybody better and we can do it all for a good cause too, right? So really excited to have everybody here. The youth was a lot of fun. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit so it doesn't break up. We crushed Verizon earlier, so they weren't really happy with me and with how much data I was using to stream this. We were live for 5 hours earlier today, so we'll see how long it keeps up today. We can keep everything running good. I restarted my phone, restarted my computer, restarted the stream. Hopefully everything's refreshed and ready to go. So, hey Nancy, what's going on? And again, for you guys that are watching, I do have the chat pulled up on my other monitors. We're gonna be watching videos here. Chat is over here, so I do have 2 monitors set up. I will be glancing back and forth between the chat. If I miss something, if I forget something about these patterns, or you see a pattern that didn't get shown or whatever, you know you submitted one, don't be afraid to say something. It's a new format. We're pulling in videos from all over the place, different ones from Facebook, from emails, certainly a new experience for everybody involved. We want to make this as good as possible. I am human. This is live. We'll try to do the best we can and go from there. And it is just me. It's just a one-man show. I'm my own ring steward and show manager and judge all in one. So try to do the best we can, try to move through this as quickly as we can. Probably going to do this for the next 2.5 hours or so, go till 5:30. Then I have some work to do at my personal barn. And then hopefully we can finish that up. And then we may have to go until the wee hours of the morning trying to get as much done as possible. I do have a full day scheduled for tomorrow. So I will have to take a small break during the day tomorrow, but we will be live again tomorrow night, hopefully doing the rest of these if we miss any. We'll try to get this all wrapped up. I do have all day Friday to get this done. So we'll get as much done as we can. We'll move through while still trying to give you as best advice as I possibly can. Remember, you are getting just one person's opinion, so if you're not happy about it, you can always go to another horse show. I certainly try to do the best I can, and it's a weird format, right? We've never done a live judging show before, so trying to judge videos is certainly much different than trying to judge in person. But we'll try to do everything we can to make it as smooth an experience as possible for everybody. Cool. So we're going to pick up with the novice, children, and senior pattern. It's going to be the novice, senior showmanship. We've got 13 entries in this class. We're going to pull them all up. I have them all here. We have all 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 patterns pulled up, and then one on Facebook. So one right over here. So one in my personal messages. So we can kind of go from there. We'll start off right here. Here is your pattern for this one. We're going to be going over the novice senior pattern. It's going to be back 4 steps to A, 180, walk to the judge. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Walk to the judge, set up, do a 90, and trot to B, stop at B. So fairly straightforward pattern. We're going to have lots of time to examine these exhibitors' showmanship position. We're going to be able to check out their ability to maneuver their horse through a pattern. That's what I'm looking for, is I want your ability to maneuver a horse through a pattern, right? So when it comes to things like this, it's always your showmanship position comes secondary to how do you execute the pattern, all right? So we're going to be trying to evaluate your position at the same time that we're evaluating how you do the maneuvers. Showmanship is a little bit different than the horsemanship, where horsemanship and equitation, we can kind of evaluate your pattern work, and then how we run it when it's a live show is you go to the rail and you do all the rail stuff afterwards. So we'll try to do the best we can. The advantage we have here is we can rewind, replay, and rewatch if we have to. All right, so we're going to start here with Stacy Weisner and Kissed on Impulse. We'll put her in over here, make my notes, change my font, get everything situated. All right, so we have Stacy Weisner. All right, So we are ready at cone A. Cone A, we are going to back 4 steps, 180, walk to the judge, set up, 90-degree turn, trot, and stop. All right, so we'll see how we end up here. Okay, perfect. All right, so I like the way she is at cone A already, right? I like the impression that I get here. She's really smooth. Now the horse does back up a little bit crooked here. We do have a little bit of hesitation here. It does look like a younger horse. Just has that youthful look about him, right? Looks like a yearling or something, a little bit younger horse. So kudos to her for doing it with a young horse. Does try to take a little piece out of her right there. We do want to watch those little sharky bites. Don't want to have our horse nibble on us. It does get a little bit resistant, a little bit abrasive through those maneuvers. A little bit cranky about setting up. Luckily, we can't see because she's in the way, which helps her a lot. Would you take a little bit longer to set up here? That's understandable, given it's young. Does look like the flies are a little bit of a problem, so we're going to give her the benefit of the doubt on that one. Moving around here, I like her showmanship. The horse does try to nibble on her a little bit. She does correct that, which is really good. So we're moving across here. She's a bit early for this one. Hey, Tally, what's going on? Hey, Nancy. She's a bit early for this crossover, right? This crossover should be with this horse's hip right here. So we want to be on the crossing over with the judge here. And then this is a little bit early too. So it seems like we have our quadrants just a little bit messed up. Let me make these notes as we go. So we are going to take a little bit of a penalty there. We do mess up our quadrants just a little bit. Do wish that we had crossed over at this horse's shoulder, right? So quadrants are here. Here's the shoulders, hip, and head, right? So when we cross over those sections, that's when we want to get moving around. So she does end up crossing back into us here. Does get a little bit tripped up over her quadrants. So this shoulder is our line. When we pass over this shoulder, she'd want to move over there. And remember the whole point of this crossing over business, right? The whole reason we cross over is to give the judge a clear view of your horse. So you see how I don't have a clear view now, right? So we want to move over to the other side. That's why we cross over in the first place, is that I can see your horse, right? When we do the inspection, we worry a lot about our footwork. We worry a lot about what we're doing, but we have to remember it's about showing off our horse at that point, right? So it's showmanship at halter. That's the halter portion of the class, right? So make sure that when you do your crossover stuff, you're giving the judge a clear view of your horse, right? This is pleasant, right? I love the way she's set up. I love her line. She keeps her arm tight, got a nice little smile on her face, looks very happy to be here. The horse did manage to keep it together for that setup, which is great. Didn't move a foot, which is awesome, considering it does look like it's a little bit cranky through the rest of this. So we go off, we go to our 90. It's really good 90. We get a really good trot off. I like the way she trots here. Certainly better. Wish we would have seen that in the first trot off. All right, so we do have, we do end up a little bit on line with this cone. Should have been a little bit off to the side of it. If you see here, see our pattern. We end up kind of nose onto the cone. We want to end up alongside of it, so that cone on our left side. So that is going to cost us a little bit of points there. But just making sure that we end up where we want to, right? Depending on where this cone was set, it's kind of hard to know. Obviously, we don't have any consistency through the pattern itself, right? Like we're all in this together. We're in different arenas, but would have liked to have seen this cone be over here instead of at our feet. All right. So gonna lose a little bit of points there for that. I do like seeing her pet her horse though. I'm always, when you watch me ride, I'm a huge fan of petting my horse, especially young ones, right? Want to make sure that they understand they did a good job. Want to make showing as pleasant an experience as possible for them. But for this one, what we see here to me is just a little bit of baby-minded stuff through all of it, right? Like we have just a little bit of baby stuff. They toss their head a little bit. They get a little bit shaky. She does leave a little bit in the pivot through there. So that's unfortunate. She does step out just a touch at the end of that. So that will cost us just a point or two. So coming across here, setup was a little long, but she did take the time to get it right. It does look like a pretty accurate setup once we get going around here. Obviously, we can't see the feet because we are on a limited range of camera, right? We have a camera range. So we do have a hard time seeing feet. This looks pretty good. It's pretty balanced right there. I like the way she's set. We've got good square feet right here. This foot looks like it's a touch off. We do have a hard time seeing it from this angle, right? This foot maybe a little bit further forward, maybe not. Difference between a black and white leg. Did look a little bit off from behind, but it seems fine now. So the walk-in setup was really good. We're gonna give her, we're gonna zero that one out. That was pretty good. The 90 ended up being pretty good, so we're gonna call that one a +1. The trot and stop did cost us a couple points though, because we did end up on the wrong side of the cone. So that's where we end up with that one. Nice job though, Stacy. Thank you so much. We'll move on to the next one. We're here with Lynn. So let me see. Lynn. And Blaze's Bashful. Well, let me move this up. Can't see. Can't edit it. Can't tell you. Blaze's Bashful Babe. All right. We do have a chicken in the way. That could be interesting experience to see how we navigate the chicken. Let me write this down. All right. So ready at cone A. Looks good. I like it. Ready at cone A. A little bit smaller horse though, so we have to forgive some positioning here that we want this. That Thank you so much, Tally. We do have a little bit of positioning error here, so we're going to have to consider the fact that this horse is a lot smaller. Just take her time for that pivot. Would like to see a little bit stronger pivot across there, so she does have to step out at the end of that, kind of swings her body around. Part of that comes from that horse's head and neck being a little bit off to the side. Does switch your hand there, which is kind of a weird thing. Want to make sure you stay with your hand on top of the lead like this, so we see a little bit of a flip in her hand there. I don't show minis, so don't know. We do switch her hand back over though, so it seems to be consistent. So we'll see what happens when she trots off the next line. If she switches her hand back over, maybe that's just the way she shows. Mini sets up really fast though. I do like the way he set. Her inspection looks good. She's pretty accurate across there. She's pretty confident in her horse. Crosses over nice. Do decide to drop our lead there, which is not what we want to do, right? So we end up dropping that lead. We end up kind of, and that's what I see, kind of fiddling this lead around, right? So kind of changing our hand position. And we want to hold him consistent, right? We want him to hold standard and consistent across there. So that way we can be consistent with our showmanship so I don't notice problems like that, right? Again, for the inspection part, I don't want to notice you over there. So let's pick one consistent position with our hand. Let's stick to it through this whole way. Now he doesn't hold a pivot foot here, so just a little bit sticky in these shoulders, right? We don't have a lot of control over these shoulders with him. We have a fly buzzing around here. So we want to make sure that he gets a little bit more consistent through his shoulders here, that he doesn't just wander that pivot. You see this big bend in his body. He's just more flexible in his neck than he is his shoulders. Get those shoulders picked up, make him move those shoulders across there, okay? So we're going to trot off here. See, we kept the same, we did change our hand back over. Just pick one, right? Pick one and stick to it. I would recommend this. We have that lead coming out the top of your hand. That's kind of what we want to go for. So we go ahead and trot this line. I do like the way he trotted off, though. He did trot off pretty evenly, pretty square. Dude does leave a little bit, though. So he leaves a little bit. So he's a little late to trot off, but he does trot up here. Very cute trot. Does end up on the correct side of the cone, maybe a little close to it. Don't get to see him complete stop, which is unfortunate. In a class like this, it's a little bit bigger. That will probably cost us a couple points. Maybe if there was a fewer number of people in the class, you wouldn't notice that so much. But in a class like this, it's a little bit bigger. You're definitely going to notice that, because it's going to hurt us enough that we're not going to get our name called, most likely. We'll see. But yeah, so just a couple unfortunate mistakes there. I want to make sure that we're consistent with the way we ask for things, consistent with the way we do things, in just getting solid in those pivots, solid in that showmanship, right? Make that horse respect your space. And these are minis. They're awfully hard to get them to respect your space, but we want to avoid him crashing into us like that right there, where he kind of leads the way, right? All right, so we're on to Amy Wheaton. Love the pink. Awesome. So, and yeah, if I go too fast for you guys, you'll be able to replay this. Trying to move through this as swiftly as possible. I have a tendency to talk pretty fast, so if you can't understand me, let me know. We'll go from there. So we're on to Amy Wheatcroft. And I'm a hot ace. All right, ready, Kone? I like the experience here, right? Like the expression in this exhibitor. She's ready to go. Horse looks ready. Looks good. All right, so good backup here. I like the clean backup. She's ready at cone A. We're going to be plussing that one. We're going to be plussing this 180 because it looks very nice. Horse stays pretty straight. Very good. So finish is extremely straight, so I love that, right? She takes her time across there. We probably could add a little bit of speed to this pattern. We could maybe pick up more points. Remember, we're talking about that range from -3 to +3. So if we're talking about that was a good pivot, right? So she's going to pick up a +1 there. Now she can add speed to it. So for me, it's always accuracy first and then speed. So if you're talking about going that range from 0 to +3, we want to get towards that +3 range. That's going to be the speed factor, right? So increase the degree of difficulty by going a little bit faster now. But accuracy first, then speed. This looks very, very good. Like this walk up. She's holding her arms up on her own. That's kind of what we talk about, is having that self-carriage up there. Very, very good, clean walk up. Should be an easy set from here. Looks like she, okay, so I don't love that, right? She kind of steps back and looks like she's ready to show before she's ready to show. We are being very picky about our setup here, so she does slide that in, calls it, and says this is where my horse needs to be. Now, the only thing that I see about that, it looked like she wanted to move this front foot, all right? And that's just what it looked like to me. So it looked like she wanted to move that front foot. He kept moving his hinds around, so she squared his hinds back up to where they were originally, and then she called it. So we could have probably saved some time there by making sure that we just say, hey, you know what? That's where he was. Let's just own it, because it looked like she wanted to pull this front foot forward. And it, judging by how he set here, it looks like we did. So it looks like we kind of just set our hinds back where they were originally. So we probably could have owned that setup a lot sooner and picked up a plus point there. As it stands right now, I'm just going to pick up a 1 for that, because that was very good. I like the way she crosses over. She's very balanced, very square. Does get a little bit over here. Maybe taking a little bit further step across there will avoid that situation where now we're kind of pulling his head off to the right and he kind of starts to nibble on us, right? He's kind of resting his mouth on our arm. So coming across there, this pull across has a lot to do with how we're kind of buried back, right? We're kind of buried back by his head, which is going to take that head a little bit off position. So making sure that you give him room and he doesn't follow you across will help a lot with that, all right? Yeah, and feel free to tag your friends and share this video if you guys want to. Certainly helps raise awareness for the virtual horse show and the Heart Center and for the live judging, right? Good trot off, I like that a lot. Stop was a little bit sloppy, could have seen a little bit harder stop out of that. He does stop perfectly square though, that's the dream. We would like to see every horse stop like that, and that's a good way to end a pattern, right? So remember, when you trot to a stop, you want to drive all the way to the end. He is trotting to a wall, so we are going to have to forgive him a little bit, but that certainly increases the degree of difficulty, where if he's trotting to a wall, he's more likely to try to die out. I want to see someone push and drive all the way to the end of that, all the way to the wall, hit that stop real hard, and get this nice, crisp, clean, ready to go maneuver, right? But she did really, really good. Big fan of this pattern, big fan of her inspection. She did a great job. Picked up points for her 90, really good 90. Maybe a little slow to trot off. Maybe not gonna lose points there, maybe not gonna gain points there, but yeah, so pretty clean, pretty crisp, I like it. Nice job, Amy. I'm not sure why this font is different. Let me change this. All right, so we're on to Summer Crosby. Let me make sure that name is right. Summer Crosby. Yes, Summer Crosby. All right. He did look awesome. Very nice job, Amy. Okay. So we're ready at Cone A. We're a little bit in motion already. So you see the difference, right? As a judge, you see the difference when we are ready at Cone A, right here, and we just hesitate a minute, right? Right there. So you hesitate a minute and then we go off. So that's commanding, right? We see that horse, he responds to that body positioning, he responds to that movement. She's very careful, but it's very accurate, right? So we're not gonna lose any points there. I ended up giving her a +1 for that. Did like the way that he goes off into that. Do like this turn a lot. We're doing it +1ing this. She is a little bit careful. Again, so same thing with our backup. We could probably pick up the pace and go towards that +3 range, right? We're probably ready to do that. That's +1, +1.5, somewhere in that range. So yeah, so coming in here, you just see the difference, right? When she's just kind of moving before we're ready, so we don't really get a chance to evaluate, all right? So we're ready. A little careful, right? It does spin its hip out right here. Maybe because we don't have a good enough definition between our back to our pivot, all right? So for me, that's backing looks like this and pivot looks like this. You see where she didn't really get her feet changed. It was hard for me to know, hard for this horse to know, because we're being kind of careful, we're kind of creeping around this horse. Hard for everybody involved to know whether or not we should be backing or turning here, right? And that's why we just don't end up holding that pivot foot. So showmanship is about body language, right? Remember, this horse responds to body language. So getting your horse to where you are commanding enough with your positioning that that horse responds to you is a huge part of it. You actually will fix a lot of problems in your chain and your handwork with that horse just respond because you're bringing a lot of effort and energy to it. Now, I do like how she did pull this horse's head down. She does have a good show right here. I do love that. I do love seeing a good show and showmanship. It is showmanship at halter, right? So making sure that she picks her hands up, she gets the horse sit elevated, his ears go forward. I love seeing that. It's a nice, pretty picture right there, right? So did miss his hind just a little bit. Would like to have seen her fix this hind just a touch. Probably could have critiqued that just a little bit harder. She's a little late to cross over right there. Hard to tell with a camera angle, but did look like she was a little bit late there. Our ring steward makes this difficult, right? So we are doing the showmanship at halter, so we are doing what a tricky judge would do. We do have to forgive that for this format because we don't have standard rules as to how the ring steward is supposed to move around our horse. So we have to keep that in mind, that you're going to run into these problems where the ring steward's not going to move around consistently. So she does move over accurately with that one. The judge does take a break behind, so it does make this a little bit more challenging. As we cross the shoulder, let's see if she moves over. Yeah, so she moved over a little early, but we can't forgive her for that because the rest of them moved around smooth, so we're going to have to let that slide. She does move across very cleanly, very crisply, so we are going to +1 that for her. I like the way she moves across there. Maybe a little bit scooty right there. She kind of puts a little slide in there, so we don't want to necessarily see that. Again, just too cautious through these pivots, right? Let's put a little bit of effort in there. Let's put a little bit of speed in there. And maybe our horse will be a little bit more challenged to have to pivot and hold a foot, right? So not going to pick up any points for that pivot. The trot off was a little bit sluggish for me, so we're going to take a little negative there. And the stop ended up being that's a good stop. Good stop. But yeah, so just making sure that your trot off, like if this had some impulsion to it and had some oomph to it, then we can loop around, we can drive that horse down this line. This pattern is set a little bit small. We are in some limited space here. We just didn't have enough room to get trotting. But that being said, a horse that's really broke and really sharp in the showmanship would be able to just step up into it and lead the way. So want to make sure that we get that horse a little bit more broke, stepping up into it, and make a little prettier picture in the end. Okay, nice job there. All right, so we have April up next. All right, April. Let's see what we have. All right, so ready to Kone. Looks like another young horse here. Always hard to tell from the back, but does look like another young horse here, like our first pattern was. So a good backup here, ready to Kone. Maybe we would like to see a little bit more pause to be ready. Not a pivot there. Probably going to pick up a bunch of negative points there. Unfortunately, not pivoting around, so we just don't have that horse rebalancing its weight, right? A pivot is a weight transfer. We're going to hold the weight on that outside hind, move that leg around, really, or inside hind, move that leg around, really step up through that pivot and cross around there, okay? So coming across here, a little bit extra movement there when she goes to go over. Maybe a little timid coming across there. Horse does set fast, though. I do like that. Good, she moves over swiftly there. Again, always watching to see, looking at the horse here. She's a little early on that one. And that's like, I've done enough crossovers in my life to know when you should move, right? And I don't have to watch you to know that. So I just know, I do it by feel. So when I feel like I'm getting really close to you, you should move out of the way. All right, so if I could reach out and touch your shoulder, right, you should probably be moving. So in that situation, I just didn't feel like she should be moving yet. And just, I'm trying to take a look at the horse here, right? I'm trying to watch the horse, and I just see you move out of the way before I get to the horse's shoulder, all right? So I'm not close enough yet to feel the pressure. So you want to kind of develop a feel for that pressure of the judge getting close to you so you can move out of the way and show them your horse. So we're going to pick up a little negative point there for a little bit early on that crossover. Good. Good. So another pivot here, and we don't have a lot of control of the horse's shoulder, right? So we kind of end up walking forward. Some of that is caused by us not really holding a circle, right? You see this leg step forward, then this leg step out, all right? So I always question, like, okay, if this leg stepped out, you see this leg step forward on us? Okay, so remember how the horse has to pivot, right? It's got to come here, come back and around, all right? Or come out and around. So the last thing we want that leg doing is going forward like this, right? You see where this leg's going. But she kind of made that opportunity available by taking this leg and not driving it into her horse alongside this one. And then you're going to see it again here, I would imagine. Yes, you see this leg actually points out that way. So she's already walking out, and you see that leg is connected to this one. This leg steps forward, this leg steps forward again. That's why we're not holding our pivot foot, all right? So just getting that footwork done so where you can get that horse to cross over, step out and around, like that's what we're looking for. That first step's got to go this way, then this way. Want to avoid having that horse step out like this because it's never going to make that pivot across there, okay? And then you're just not going to distribute that weight over that right hind the way we want to. So we are going to lose a point for that. So we go to trot. Whoops, hit the wrong button. There we go. So we're going to trot here. Move into the rest of this pattern. It's a good clean trot off. I do like the way she moved up into that. Horse moves forward pretty willingly. Stop was a little bit abrasive, a little bit of extra stuff, but the trot itself was really good. Horse moves off nice. I do like the way she trots. Let's make sure we check this first trot off into our walking setup. Backup was a little bit sluggish, not bad. Not going to gain any points, not going to lose any points. It's okay for me. Just going to zero that one out. Walk up is really good, right? Really businesslike. I do like the way she walks up. Horse tries to look off a little bit, but she maintains her line, corrects that horse. So we are going to we're going to gain a point there. We are going to gain a point for that setup, right? Would like to see my exhibitor take a step back and let me know that she's comfortable and confident with her setup. All right. So this is a situation where you turn around, your horse is set. That's the dream. Step back and say, hey, here we go. I'm ready to show. All right. Otherwise, you just stand there and you kind of look at me like, should I go? Should I not? It's kind of hard for me to know as a judge. All right. So just keeping that in mind. But a nice job overall, especially for a young horse, right? We have to take in consideration that this is a very young horse. Doesn't have years of experience of showmanship. I personally am not a big fan of showmanship with young ones. I don't think they have the patience for it. This horse seems to be doing pretty good. Maybe a little less busy than the other one, but I think it's a big ask on these youngsters to have this much patience. So kudos to you for getting that out of your horse. Looks like we have a good-minded horse here. Just want to work on these pivots. Want to work on those pivots. All right, so we're on to Caitlin Schmeiser. All right, so royalty-free diamond. So ready to set up at cone A, right? We're already a little crooked here, which makes me nervous for a backup. So we've seen this a couple times, like in our youth classes, where our exhibitors start off a little bit crooked. Makes me just a shade nervous. I'd like to see you be just a little bit more square here. You have plenty of time, right? This is a videoed class, so if you're not perfectly square, then we can certainly fix it. So wouldn't mind seeing you be just a little bit more squared up here. So we're gonna back, and then, yeah, see, this horse had to recover for this backup, and we kind of end up drifting off to the side. Doesn't look like another young horse. So lose a little bit of control over that pivot, too much bend in this neck. All right, so when we have that much bend in our horse's neck, it is gonna hurt us, right? Because that horse now is gonna slide this foot back. So if ever your horse takes his neck and curls it like that, the next step that he's gonna take is this back end straightening out over here. All right, so we're gonna watch for this hind leg to slide backwards. All right, where what should happen is this neck be straight and this hind leg, this left hind leg, step forward. Right. So watch this hind leg. It's probably gonna step backwards the next stride. There it goes, right? So we know that's going to happen because of that bend in its neck, all right? So want to make sure that horse doesn't bend its neck, and then it can make it a forward pivot. So we are going to take a little penalty there for not holding that pivot foot the way we want to. It's a good clean back up here. She is very pleasant to look at. She's got a happy smile on her face. So that's nice. I don't like the bent arm like this, right? So we have those arms kind of bent out like that, and it's kind of strange to me to come out like this, and so we want to straighten those arms out, all right? Want to come over here, straighten these arms out. That way we don't end up with our arms kind of funny angles like that, right? Just keep those arms in front of you. Like I said before in the other video, we were talking about the youth showmanship. Take those thumbs, point them to your shoulders, and just drop them in. And that's where your arms should be for showmanship if you're not sure. It's a good foundation to start from. All right, so cute-headed horse here. I do like the pleasant expression, I should say. So right here, we're gonna take our time to set up. We do wanna see this halter be a little bit run up on this horse. I know he's a little guy. Probably could take another hole in here and tighten this up. It's a little bit loose, a little bit sloppy. Again, one of those little things, not gonna make it break you, but certainly picks up a little bit of impression overall. Oh wow, that's awesome. He's never done anything in hand in his life. You have a lot to work on, that's awesome. Hey, he did great then. You're very welcome. So here we have this horse kind of hunting the setup, right? It's a young horse, so he probably has not been set up much in his life. Good. So she takes a step back. She says, I'm ready to go. Don't necessarily need to do the head nod. Just step back and look, and that's enough for me, personally. I don't want to see the head nod. Again, not one of those things that you're going to lose points for, but just, not going to gain any points either, right? So a bit early here for crossing over, she kind of ducks underneath. Some of that because of the way that she's positioned next to this horse. She's got her toes kind of straight forward. She's not off to the side much here. So she's almost directly in front of him, which would be a little bit of a penalty here. This way, she's got that 45-degree angle towards her horse. That's kind of what we're looking for. And you see how much more natural this body angle is to our horse, right? We are now 45 degrees to our horse. We're going to cross over, be 45 degrees over there, 45 degrees over here, kind of trying to find that natural angle. And what happened is you're 45 degrees here, but then you're only like this far over here, right? We just didn't go far enough over. Make sure you work across his nose, work all the way over there, so it's a little bit more natural position for you. See how she doesn't have to bend her body much there. But see here on this side, she's 45 degrees now, and now she can just look over her shoulder pretty easily, pretty naturally. Doesn't have to bend her shoulder and bend her waist. So a little early on that one inspection, that is going to cost a little bit of points there. Whoa, a little bit of resistance there. He wasn't quite ready for that trot off, right? And make sure you stay focused on your job until you get to the very end, right? So we want to come to that cone. Do believe the pattern calls for a stop at that B cone. Yep, so stop at B. Make sure you don't look back until you're done, all right? So just focusing up right there. I kind of surprised him here with this one, right? Kind of surprised him, surprised me right here. And we were just kind of like going off, right? He wasn't quite ready for that. I like to see my horse close that pivot and then gather up and move off. So the key to it is that he's really moving forward right here. You see where he's kind of moving off to the side, and he just forgets that he's supposed to go forward. So that's just a young horse thing, something to work on. We want to make sure that we don't surprise him like that. Take your time and just more time and experience with this horse, right? And then we get a little bit lost here, looking off over his shoulder, right? We got to stop at that cone. So the pivot itself, let me go back. I was talking through it. This pivot's much better, right? See the difference when he holds his head straight, he holds that pivot foot. So not plus or minus there for me, just a 0. not doing anything wrong, but not necessarily crushing it either, right? So certainly better than the first pivot. We like that much better. Wish we could have seen that in the first pivot where he stayed a little bit straighter. It was a bigger pivot for the first one, so could have had something to do with it, but not bad. Not bad for a yearling especially, or 2-year-old, however old he might be. Very good. All right, so we got Doreen next. And Alice. Doreen and Alice. All right, so this is what I want to see, right? Nice, clean angles. She's standing up tall. She's standing up square. She's got her arm bent. Horse looks very square to me. This is a good look for a beginning of showmanship, right? So this is, as a judge, this is what I want to see. I want you to pick up those points right away. Let's make sure we pick up and just maintain that nice elevated plus range, right? You don't want to start off in the minuses and try to climb your way back out. Okay, so just say like, hey, if we can start this pattern on a high note, let's kind of continue that pace all the way through rather than start off on a low note and try to work our way back up. All right, so we're already started off on a high note. Do like this commanding walk into our horse. Would like to see a little bit more speed here. She is a little bit slow, but it is very accurate, so we are going to give her a +1 for that one. Pivot gets a little bit crooked in his head and neck. Does slide that foot a little bit in the end. That's unfortunate. Going to cost her a little bit of half point there. I wish he would have held that pivot foot all the way through. She's a little bit nervous here walking up to us. I would like to see more confidence in our rider, right? Our exhibitor. She's got a nice pattern going, so there's no reason not to be confident. So we are going to call that a -1/2 for that walk up. I wish she was more confident. Get those arms up, show your horse, right? You looked so good in the beginning. You had a good pattern going. Let's make sure we keep that momentum up. Keep that energy level up. Keep that effort level up. And then we are looking off at our horse here, wondering why he's doing what he's doing. Make sure you keep your eyes up, keep your eyes ahead. We can kind of go from there. So now we do end up getting a little bit of pull in our horse's head. We do pull him off to the side just a touch here. I wish we would have kept him straighter through that. Kind of what ends up pulling us off to the side is that we take his head like that. So then our body, we don't have control over the foot we want to have control over, right? If you take his head to the side like that, he's going to move legs that you aren't kind of intending him to, and that's kind of what ended up happening there. I do wish we had a happier expression here. Again, something that's just a small thing. And that's the difference between 0 and pluses, right? That we get a little bit happier expression through this setup. She is very crisp and clean across there. I do like the way she crosses over. She moves over nice with us. We are getting kind of that stare down that I talked about earlier. I wish she would check her horse here so we can kind of break this eye contact. It does feel intimidating for both of us if we're staring each other down. And then there's that expression that I was talking about. So that's going to cost us not any points necessarily, but just not going to get us in the plus range either. Good, so a good pivot here. Do like the way he crosses over. I wish he would finish that turn. A little hesitation there, right? So I wish he would have just gone all the way through that. She does stick it out to the very end, though. It's a good trot off at the end. She does come nose onto that cone. We do want to end up with that cone on our left side. So you see where she's kind of nosed onto that cone. We do want to bring that cone on our left. So that is unfortunate for us that we kind of end up in the wrong spot with that cone. Has a lot to do with how you come out of your pivot, right? So if she didn't pivot far enough or she didn't have her eyes on that cone as she trotted that line, you're going to end up on the wrong side of that cone. So she ended up kind of nose onto that cone. We want to be over here trotting straight through. So some of that might have had to do with the way she came through this pivot, right? So I would say, again, this is a body language class, right? We don't just bring enough to the table. We're not bringing enough oomph to it to make our horse kind of care about this class and respect our space. So then we end up kind of dragging our horse along, right? And we don't want to do that. We do end up picking a -1/2 for the pivot that we do end up just kind of maybe an 1/8 of a turn behind on that one. I wish I would have seen her come all the way through there. But not a bad job, not a bad job. Wish we could have kept up the confidence that we had coming into it, right? Really like the way we were up here. We're up, we're moving along, we got the pace going, right? We just kind of died out. When it slid its foot, it's like we kind of just gave up, right? And I wish we could have just kept that going. Because we would have ended up in a good spot there, right? Good, very good. Did she start on the correct side of A? That's a good question. A is on your horse's right. Your horse's right. A should be over here. You're a good call. Very good. And again, it's hard because we didn't set these patterns, right? So at a horse show, right, you wouldn't have the liberty of setting the cones where you want to. So that cone is on the wrong side. I do believe. You think. Hard to visualize. A here, we're going to back alongside and do our 180. Yeah, so we should be pivoting into that cone. Good call. Yeah, cone should be over here. That's okay, though. Like I said, we have to forgive some of those things because we did not set the pattern ourselves, but where you end up on the other side of the cone does matter. Start cone there doesn't so much matter, but Again, big enough class, I don't think it's going to make or break our placings at all. That at least I hope that, given that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more runs to go, maybe that won't make or break our placings, but certainly a tiebreaker thing that I would consider. The cone at the end matters more to me than the cone at the beginning. All right, so we have Jasmine. And like I said, we have to give some leeway to setting the pattern and not having any kind of consistency. But see, this is where the cone should be, because you want to pivot into that cone. So we will give her a minus for that one. We'll take a point off for that, and we'll just kind of go from there. So we're here, a little bit of movement here. I wish it was horse would have stood still. We do have a little bit longer time to look at this one than we did the other ones. That's always kind of a hard thing, that we want to make sure that we get all the extra movement out of there. We don't have a lot of extra stuff going on. You don't want to be busy at that cone once the judge is looking at you. Obviously here in this situation, it's a little bit harder. We are going to end up with a weird spot in this cone. Again, to see that's kind of what happens here, right? Like we talk about, without a lot of direction here, you would normally show up at the horse show and the cone would be set for you, right? You're not going to set your own cones. So a little bit awkward situation there. We do end up splitting that cone. And we can just kind of take that in consideration as she shows to us this pattern. But we do want to make sure that she doesn't split that come around here. All right. So normally that cone would never be in the way, because you would start at that cone, back all the way up, and then pivot. So we do have a different angle here for our walk-off. We don't get to see this horse and exhibitor come straight to the judge. So then we get to evaluate her setup a lot better, right? Horse sets quickly. Probably could have called this setup a little bit sooner than we did. It's a little close behind. It's a little wide up front comparatively. Probably could have, and like you see this little hesitation here where we're like, okay, we're gonna move this foot in, we're gonna set this foot down, and now we're gonna step back and show. But there's a couple seconds where we have to decide, right? So we could make that decision a little bit faster. Crossover seems a little early there, kind of hard to tell. We don't have the ring steward in a frame. We'll see how she does on the other side to know for sure. This one seems a bit early as well, so I would say that this is going to be, the horse's hip would be somewhere right here, so this seems just a little bit early. We'll see how she does on this side, if she crosses over a little bit early also. Yeah, so she's a little early on every side. Don't feel the pressure, don't rush there. Just make sure you take your time. So we are going to take a point off for that. Horses' quadrants are here by their shoulders and their head and their tail, right? So remember, we're talking about giving the judge a clear view of our horse. You're just a little bit early to the party there. Want to make sure you're crossing over at the same correct time. Okay, so again, I would stay on this side until our judge tells us to finish the rest of our pattern, all right? You only would cross over necessarily if that judge finishes and comes onto your side. So you would want to stay over there until that judge gives you the nod to finish the rest of your pattern, then cross over, then finish your pattern. So that's when you start your 90 into your trot away. So because we're moving here as the judge is getting set, it's kind of a weird situation. "90-degree turn looks good. We do have a good trot off on her part. Would like to see that horse go first. I do like that she comes out of this. Her footwork is good. Just send that horse up, right? Send it up. Make that horse go forward, because it kind of tries to die out the whole time down that line, right? It's a good stop afterwards. Don't give up, right? Don't give up. Okay, keep showing all the way to the end. Stay business-like the whole time. I know we're in a virtual format, we're kind of at home, but I don't want to see this look, right? So we could either cut the camera there, or we could say, you know what, I'm gonna keep showing until I'm out here, all right? You're showing to the judge from the time you come into the arena to the time you leave the arena. So make sure that you don't give up on this pattern, right? Say, you know what, I'm confident through this. I wanna be here, I wanna be at the horse show. I have a good horse, I have a good pattern going. Really show that off. Don't give up on it, all right? Because you do have a good pattern going there, right? We have a couple little bobbles here, a couple zeros there. Not necessarily offending me, but this is the only part we got really tripped up on coming through here. Horse curls its neck a little bit. We have a little bit too much flex in its pole, so we end up pushing its chin under rather than pushing its shoulders back. Super common problem. We don't want to have just our horse's chin in control, right? We want to make sure that we have our horse's shoulders there also, right? So we end up pushing this horse's chin until it has to move its shoulders. I would much rather see you be a little bit more control of the shoulders, a little less over the chin. So we do end up splitting this cone. Our walk to our setup was pretty good though. Come through here, business-like walk. Maybe pick these hands up a little bit, get yourself some self-carriage, and maybe send this horse forward. Would have put us more into the plus range, but as it stands right now, it's a 0 for me. Not a bad thing, not a great thing, either way. Awesome, very good, Jasmine, very good. All right, so we're on to Teddy and Secret Classy Lassie. All right. So good swift moving backwards here. I like that. Real businesslike, real businesslike. I like the way he goes to that pivot. Very nice. We're gonna give that a +2. Super clean through there. Which maybe drags a little bit to our line here. Not gonna offend me either way. We're not gonna plus or minus that. That's just gonna be 0 for me. I would like to see that horse drive up all the way. We kind of get a hook in his neck. Kind of tells us that he's not quite ready. Would like to see my exhibitor take a step back here, right, and say that we're ready to show. Kind of awkward when we just look over. Like I said, not make or break for me, but I do want to make sure that you let the judge know you're ready. All right, so he does make eye contact. Judge comes around, he moves over nice and crisp. A little twirl there at the end. Don't necessarily want to see that. He's kind of fast across there. I would be curious to see if he maintains that same style across there, because it's kind of like that one step and a twirl. Be curious to see if he does that same way and when he comes back around. And that's the thing, right? When I watch you cross over, it's about consistency. It's about you doing the same thing every time. So if I see him cross over one way, I want to see him cross back over when he goes back across, right? So we'll get another opportunity to see it right here when he comes back across. If he crosses the same way, that's his style. If he doesn't, then I have to critique it, right? I say, you know what? I don't like the way you cross over right there. Kind of awkward, kind of forced, and that wasn't your style of showmanship, right? If we cross over differently every time. So we do have a different step over there that time. Do end up moving the different leg. And there we have a couple different steps, right? So there we take a couple steps across. We do end up on our toes, which kind of pitches us forward. And that's why I'm very particular about my footwork across there. We have a style of moving across our horse that doesn't get us in this position where we do end up on our toes, kind of leaning forward, and then we have to overarch this back, right? So kind of makes for an awkward situation. Again, it's not necessarily a minus for me because it does move over swiftly, but it's not going to get us in that +3 range where we move over consistently every time. All right, so we go into our pivot right here. Horse pivots across there nice. We do overshoot that turn a little bit, it looks like. Maybe just an 1/8 of a turn too far. Does pivot across there nice, but may pick up a little minus there for coming across there and just overshooting that just a touch. A little slow to trot off. We do end up leading forward just a little bit. I don't like the kind of crouch position. And that's why I say make sure you lead with your toes, right? Toes up. Pull your toes up when you move through showmanship, and it'll kind of get you the position you're looking for. And you kind of see that here where he starts out on his toes, and we see that big lean, right? So this is not, we don't want to sprint out of the gate here. So make sure you push yourself forward by leading with your heel, right? And that'll kind of put you back versus leading with your toe right there. It kind of all makes everything shift forward, and we lose those good lines, right? So we are going to call that a negative point there for leaning forward. Wish we wouldn't have done that. Wish we could have stayed straight up and down and leading with those heels first. So he kind of trots on his toes, right? And that's kind of just gets us leaning forward. He switches to his heels by the end though, and that's why we get a better stop. Really good stop, credit earning stop. I do like the way that finishes up. All right, so we're going to give him, if we had stayed straight up, right, that's looking at more of like a +1.5 to +2 stop, right? Maybe our trot could have been a little bit crisper. We could have been up that +3 range. But with the penalty for leaning forward, we're just going to end up with a +1 with that. So it's still a very good pattern. Still way up there. Right? I do like his business-like movement through there, the way he's going through, the way he's doing things. The rest of the pattern is really, really good. All right. So we got Angie with Uncle Leroy. All right. So we're here. Beautiful place to show. Love the arena, love the windscreen. A little bit crooked in our back up here. Would like to have seen a little bit straighter. We do end up, this is a common situation, right? We put a bend in that horse's neck, and now we're kind of walking straight forward, right? So remember, we're not finished our pivot until we're coming all the way around. Now this is finished with our pivot, and then we move off with this horse. So if we're kind of already leaving when we come through, our horse is going to just leak out of that. And he never really gets a chance to finish his pivot. So make sure that you don't see him, we're just going to wander out of that. Yeah, so kind of an awkward situation there where we don't want to be leaving our pivot before we're done with it, right? Make sure you finish that, close your feet, close your circle, and come across there. Horse sets up pretty good, pretty accurate. A little indecisiveness there. Little indecisive about that. Want to make sure that we call and confident what we're going to do. Just be very sure about what you're doing. The rest of the inspection looks good. I like the position here. I like where our arms are. Our lead hand gets a little bit straight for me. Certainly not a bad thing. Maybe a little cautious across there. Ring sword giving her some time, giving her the benefit of the doubt. She's a little early for that one. I don't like the crossover behind our leg. I think it's just kind of awkward. See that? This just kind of ends up with this weird like thing here. I would rather see you're here, step out, step over, step across together. All right, because we don't want to end up with this weird like twirly situation where we come across there and then we end up, see that right there, it kind of messes up. So that all of that stems from, to me, from this right here, right? When we're crossing behind that leg, now we're set up in a weird spot. We got to unfold our legs and we're going to end up facing this way. Just kind of ends up kind of awkward. So we are going to have to give her a minus for that one because I don't like the way she crossed over. She gave up. She forgot. Don't give up. Don't give up till the camera's done, right? So making sure that you go, and the same thing here for that pivot, coming across there all the way, getting that 90-degree turn, closed up all the way across there. That way we can pick up those, even if it's just a 0, right? So just so we don't minus points. And then for our walk and setup, that was pretty good. Let's go back. I was talking through it. Does walk up nice. She's maybe a little too close to her horse. You see her kind of bumping that shoulder. Horse is maybe crowding her space or she's crowding his space. Let's give him a little bit more room. Kind of get our hands backwards. This hand's a little bit higher than this hand, and then keep that arm straight, right? So we kind of end up like this, where that horse is kind of pulling him. But because we're so close to him, we end up pushing his head that way, right? And that's where some of our problems stem from. We kind of end up crowding his space. And then we end up curling under his chin, which is going to hook his neck to the side, which is why we lost some control here, all right? So certainly not bad, though. Not bad. Wish you would have stay showing, right? Stay showing until the very end, even if you're not sure, not comfortable with the class. Maybe we're new to the class, right? Want to make sure we don't. I don't want to see you drop your arms ever until you're done with the class, right? So make sure your arms stay up in this position until you're out of the arena, right? Just stay up there. Okay. Trot off was good. Maybe a little hesitation. We waited for him just a little bit. I would like to see you just drive that. Just trust that your horse is going to be there, and we can kind of go from there. Yeah. And it does end up not really holding that pivot foot. That is going to cost us a little bit there. So that's where we end up. Awesome. So Brianna Weiler. Okay. Here's where we are. We're ready at cone A. We got a little bit of wide stance here. Looks like we kind of backed our horse into this position, which kind of leads you in a funny position here because our back legs are really wide. Going to be kind of hard for our horse to recover from this. She's going to be stepping wide like this, and her front feet are going to have to be in the middle of that. So we'll see how she navigates that as she comes through here. So see where that horse has to recover there. And that's where you see that head kind of come up and kind of get a little bit funky going across there. So she starts to pivot here. Again, very cautious pivot. Doesn't really hold a pivot foot. And again, we see just that lack of control over our shoulders, right? So you have that horse's neck bending, coming across there. You don't have control of your shoulders when you have this, all right? So make sure that neck stays straight, head to tail, cross those front feet up. First step for your horse got to be out this way. Next step across that way. Does bumper there, walking in. We get a little bit crooked here. Horse kind of crowds her space. We do have a long chain there, right? So if our horse is not really paying attention to our shoulders and we have to come in with our hand that much, let's shorten this chain up so we don't notice it as much, right? So I would rather see you keep that chain a little bit shorter so you don't have to move your hand this much if it's not listening to your shoulders. Now, that's given if it's not listening to your shoulders. For me, personally, I want that horse to move forward and back off my body and not necessarily my chain. So anytime you start pulling with your chain, you're going to end up with a situation like our last horse where you pull under and they start to flex their neck and we kind of lose control of their legs. Right? So they're going to break in their pull right here and you're going to lose control of their legs, which is kind of what we see here, right? All right, so inspection, we nod to the judge, so the judge does know that he's ready to go, but we don't take a step back. Again, personal preference, but that's how I like to do it. So coming across here, what you need?
My computer.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, you're fine. So coming through here, we kind of end up with this head off to the side. Again, this chain just a little bit too long. If we had a little bit shorter chain, we maybe could have kept that head a little bit straighter. And then we do have to kind of make a weird step across there because we're kind of buried behind his head. Taking the showmanship, that's a big step, right? If we were 7 feet tall, maybe that's a normal stride length, but just maintain a normal stride, right? So if it takes you 4 steps to get across there, to keep your normal stride, your natural stride, I'll take it, all right? I don't want to see, this is a 7 foot stride, right? This is for someone who's 7 feet tall. So if you need to do that in 4 steps, do it in 4. See how big a step that has to be? And anytime you do that, right, you split, look at my shoulders drop, right? If I come out, I get real low because I take such a long step. If I take a natural step, you see where my shoulders don't drop at all. So we are a little early to cross over here. Again, so in this situation where you're waiting for your ring store to give you the go-ahead to finish your pattern, you want to stay on that side until I'm in front of you and I give you the go-ahead, then you cross over and finish your pattern. Okay, so we are just a little bit early there, and that is going to cost us a little bit of points there. So, and then we end up here just a little bit too far forward. Make sure you're 45 to your horse, 45 degrees to his shoulders with your feet and your shoulders and your hips. And that'll avoid that awkward situation where like he wasn't sure that he should be moving. All right, so we want to make sure that we end up facing him, coming across there, pivoting off, and going ahead. So because of that, this 90, she's going to walk out of this step, the next step. She's going to walk out of this stride, the next step, because she's kind of walking forward here. So we're going to see that. There it is. There's that foot coming forward. Kind of what we're talking about, right? So right here, go. Right? So when you get in that position and you decide to take your feet and put them in a drive mode, you step here, go, right? Send that horse up, go. And see, that horse just wasn't ready for it, right? So he wasn't trotting, horse wasn't trotting, horse wasn't ready for it. We do end up kind of square onto this cone again. We saw that in a couple other patterns. Again, it's the limitations of our arena, right? We have to be kind of forgiving to our audience as far as this goes, or exhibitors, because we have this stuff here. We don't all have the same arena, so this cone could have been here, but our horse does end up on the correct side, but we are straight onto it. So again, I don't think it's going to make or break our placing. It's just something we have to keep in mind because our trot needed a little bit of work anyway, right? So we do that 90, just making sure that your horse moves with you, right? Like coming across here. That's why I'm so particular about the footwork for this class. This class is a dance, all right? So making sure that you dance with your horse, that you always take the same steps every time you look for what you wanted to. So I think this horse got a little bit confused when she finished her pivot or her crossover like this, where she's already in pivot mode, but the horse has to stand still. So I can make it a big difference to go from pivot mode to, or from setup mode right here. This is park to drive pivot mode right here if I move my feet, right? So I don't mind seeing, and you see there's not much adjustment for our, we just start walking into him, right? He's just not ready for that. He gets a little bit surprised by it. So kind of gets a little bit tripped up and has a little bit of a harder time. So a walk for our setup. We go back through and check that. Yeah, he did end up bumping us here a little bit. Just get a little bit behind us and a little bit pushy through that stop. All right. So we're here with Wendy, with Good and Rageous. Getting stiff standing here. We're sitting here for 8 hours. All right, so we're here. We're in movement already, so again, part of the limitation of a camera, right? We hit the record button at the same time that we start moving, and we miss the stand still at the cone, right? We do have a good setup here. Do have a good square horse, so the backup should be in a good position, right? Just increases our odds of getting a good square backup. Should be correct. Do get a little bit in front of him here. Wouldn't mind seeing you stay off just a little bit to the side. Backup's very careful though. Good. He's gonna slide that foot. Doesn't. Wow. Good save by the horse there. Looked like he was in position to slide that foot. Would like to see a little bit of pause there. We talk about that a lot. Coming through and just pausing here. Let your horse settle. Let those feet relax. Let him get his weight squared back up so he can move back off here. Good business-like walk to the judge. Horse stays up with us nice. Setup takes a little while. A little bit of a long setup here. Looks like we should buy that. Maybe a little picky, right? Probably could have owned this setup right here. A little indecisive, right? Probably could have saved some time in that setup. We do end up a little bit crooked to our judge. Again, it's hard to tell with this camera angle. Hard to know where they're holding the camera. It's going to make a difference where this horse is set up. But I do like this. Would like to see that step back, confidence. Coming across here, a little late for that. We do end up scrubbing his nose a little bit. So I always tell my exhibitors to stay out in front of their nose, work across the line in front of their nose right through here. Just if you need to, set a log right there and just walk the log. Just cross over on the log so you don't end up getting buried behind their shoulder, right? Because then you end up having to scrub their nose almost always. Right? So he's kind of looking off to the side here. We're kind of making that eye contact. We talk about a lot. If we're not checking our horse's hawk eye judge, right? If we're not going here, back to me, then we're not going to notice his head off to the side. So very careful ring steward here, giving her lots of time to make that inspection nice. She's doing a good job there. So that's a 4-step crossover. We do end up with our arms a little bit too straight right here. Do end up a little bit further away from him than we should be. If his head was in the middle, maybe we could fix that. Maybe we don't end up in quite such an awkward position, but yeah. So you see where his head's just a little bit off to the side. Now he's going to bring his neck over, and now we're going to be in an even weirder position because now we're going to have to block him with our wrist. And we had to pick our hands up. Good, so we're coming back across. Good. 90-degree turn, pretty accurate. Again, want to see that horse close that stride, close that pivot, because we do see him pick up this foot right here, and hard to tell whether he's stepping out of his pivot or if he's just ready for the trot off. Trot off itself was really good. Stops pretty crisp, pretty clean. He kind of looks off to the side. He's got something interesting going on over here. Do like to see our petter horse, though. I always like to see that. So I do like the way that he trots off. Wish the 90, not necessarily a penalty or a minus for me, just a 0 for that. Would have liked to have seen him do that pivot all the way across there. Trot itself is going to be a +1 for me. I do like the way that he trots. He moves off there nice. He's got his ears forward, good happy expression. The stop is really square afterwards. Just want to watch this back up again. He's a little slow. He's pretty accurate though. Stays nice and straight. I'll give her a +1 for that. Again, so talking about that range from +1 to, or +0 to +3. Trying to get those extra points. Just add a little bit of speed to it and we'll be in good shape. But overall, pretty good pattern. Nice job, Wendy. It's their first show together. Wow, that's awesome. Did great. Yeah, so like I said, you're gonna be in pretty good shape if you just zero across, right? If you don't have any major penalties, you just kind of zero that across, no major faults or anything, then you end up in pretty good shape overall. And we'll see that reflected in the placings. So we are here. Let me write this down. Full screen this. All right, so we're ready at cone A. I like this setup. It's a little wide behind. It's a little bit crooked up front. See that horse kind of shaped off to the side like that. So we'll see how she recovers from that. Gonna put us off on the wrong foot though because we're gonna be having to recover and bring this hip back in line. We'll see how she recovers. There's our hip back in line, so that's better. We only get a couple steps, a couple more. There you go. A couple more steps would have been really good there. Would have liked to have seen just a few more. I have to pause the video as I go to the other screen with Facebook. It doesn't like that. Do end up with a little bit of bend in our neck though. So that's going to be a little bit of pressure on our horse to hold that pivot foot. So that's the same problem. Same exact thing that we saw with the last horse, right? When we don't close our pivot all the way, they're going to pick up this foot and just put it down. Just kind of stomp it down in place, right? There, right? So it just has to like unwind. It's got to it gets kind of stuck in the dirt and it has to pick that foot up and recover. So just making sure that you go all the way through there and finish that pivot is very, very important. Trot looks really good here. Really like the way she trots, but they're supposed to walk to the judge, I believe. Yeah, it's supposed to be a walk to the judge. It's a good trot though. Really good trot. This is the novice, right? Novice senior, yeah. So it is a really good trot. I wish we could have saved that trot for the next piece. Inspection's really, really good. This pivot's a little bit better. We still get a little bit of bend in our neck. So I do wish that we would have, let me make sure I write that down. I do wish that we would have, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I do wish we would have held our neck a little bit straighter because it does get a little bit curled off, but a much better finish to our pivot, and man, it's a good trotter. A little dribble for that stop. Probably could have made that closer to the +2, +2.5 range if we'd have nailed that stop. But the trot itself was pretty good. I like the way it trots a lot. Unfortunately, we were a little off pattern here when we trotted up. Want to make sure that that's a walk to the judge. Show you here. Walk to judge. So we do end up trotting here, which is unfortunate. I mean, what you did was great. Like the trot that you gave me was awesome. Make sure we come here. Just kind of get a little bit straight with our arms, bring those arms back, make that a little more natural position for us. Do like the way she trots though. Stop was really crisp, really clean. A little far away from our horse here in our inspection. Probably could be a little bit closer to her. See how we have to try to stretch out and lean forward through that, just because we're a little bit far away. And I know we got kind of close to that cone, but kind of get up on our toes there. We rock up onto our toes. Make sure you keep your weight flat and square. Like the way she crosses over, really clear, crisp, really clean. Kind of pushes with her hand there. But that turn was better than the first one, right? So we can call that a better turn. First turn was just kind of a 0 for me. Wish it would have done a little bit better job. So would have been a really good run. Unfortunately, we end up trotting. So that's going to hurt us. Awesome. Very good. So I believe that's our last run. So we can go through our scores here. We can kind of take a look and see where we're at. So we're going to have, so we have this one and Teddy. Where's Teddy? Teddy. All right, so here is our top 2 runs, right? So we can kind of decide between these two. We can come through here. Amy's in really good shape. She does a really nice job across here. Really like her presentation, really like the way she crosses up, sets up. Does a nice job throughout the whole pattern. She's driving. Look. A little sluggish through the trot, a little sluggish through the stop. Would have liked to have seen that. Let's move you up here. Let's move you here. Let's compare. So this is very businesslike, right? Probably the biggest factor for me in this pattern was the way that he leaned forward, right? And then I do believe this horse slid his foot through his pivot, right? Is that right? Did something. Nope, yeah. Nope. All right, so 2 very good at patterns, 2 very accurate patterns. I'm going to have to give the win to Amy here. I like the way that she did her showmanship. She missed the stop a little bit. Probably could have been a little bit more accurate through that and made this a little bit more definitive win. Super close, though. I just want to say that, I like the way we do showmanship here. The crossover is a little awkward for me. We get a little bit rocked up. We get a little bit rocked forward. Don't really see that in Amy's showmanship. Right there, we see that lean forward right there. We're kind of in go mode. Don't really see that here in the way that she does hers. We end up keeping our body just a little bit straighter. Right? We have just a little bit more extreme bend in Teddy. But both of you guys did a great job. Super close. Super close. Very nice. He just stays a little bit forward through the whole trot line. And we maintain a little bit straighter line through there. So that's the difference for me. Really nice job for both of you guys, though. You guys did awesome. So that's how we're going to place that. So we're going to say Amy first, Teddy second. But, I mean, that's so close, right? On any given day, you guys go back and forth all the time. All right. So we can go here. We can say that Wendy, where's Wendy? Wendy's going to be our 3rd place horse today. Really like the way she did it. Very businesslike, very clean, very crisp. Just want to make sure that she gets these arms underneath herself a little bit better. Did pick up a little half-point penalty for that inspection. Kind of awkward situations there. But again, just an overall just clean pattern, right? So that's the benefit of a clean pattern. So just making sure that you execute the pattern as it's drawn. Just get everything where it is. Would love to see her pick up points in the way she does her showmanship. Get those arms underneath you a little bit better. Really good stop at the end here. Really pleasant to watch. Guys did a nice job. So then we can go here. So now we're into the middle of the class. We kind of have to make some decisions as far as like cones and mistakes go. We're kind of out of the clean, super clean runs. We kind of end up being in weird places with these where maybe we don't have ultra clean. Let me make sure these are all right before I go on. All right, so this is always the harder part for me as a judge to decide, like, okay, at what point do you go, well, that was a mistake, this is a mistake, kind of go from there. So my next placing horse is going to be, I believe, Angie. Make sure I can find it. Helps a lot when we name these videos or we want to name them, right? Angie's going to be our next placing leader here. So we're going to go here. We got Wendy, we got Angie, going to be 4th. Let me make sure. No computer software for these patterns, right? It's unfortunate. Tally these judges, tally these points. All right. So how do we have Amy, Teddy, Wendy, Angie, Amy, Teddy, Wendy, Angie, Doreen, to pick up a point for the missing point guys. So not Doreen. Sorry guys, this is the hardest part, right? Trying to organize all this spreadsheet and stuff. Stacy. Without a ring steward, right? I think that's right. 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". Yeah. 6'7.5". Tried that line. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna end up Amy, Teddy, Wendy, Angie, Stacy, 5, 6, Caitlin, where did you go? Oh, here we go. Kid. Is that right? Maybe? No. Six. Brianna. Brianna. Where are you? Here you go. Here you go. This is what you wait for, right? This is the waiting game while they sort it all out. So we're here. Where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Brianna, 6, 7, Stacy, 7, April. And the videos are not named. April, 7, okay. 8. Yeah, 8, Jasmine. So here we are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's our 8 placings. So Amy's first, Teddy second, Wendy third, Angie fourth, Stacy fifth, Brianna sixth, April 7th, and Jasmine 8th. So, and again, so this is tough, right, at the very end of this, because we have a lot of patterns that maybe made some mistakes, and you have to decide, how do those mistakes weigh, how does it work out, how does it sort out, because we do have good things about these patterns, so we do pick up points in places, like this one, for example, split that cone, but we had enough good stuff about the pattern that it still end up a little bit higher than some of these other ones. Yeah, so just making sure that we run clean patterns, right? So these are the only patterns that really that were super clean, right? Where everybody did everything that we're supposed to do, and we're in the plus range, we're above the 70 mark. We had 3 patterns that were above the 70 mark. So these patterns above the 70 mark, that's where you start out. So if you guys aren't familiar with the judging system, you start at 70, and then you go up or down from there. So it's plus or minus from there. So yeah, Stacy did great with your yearling, absolutely. So just making sure that you want to get to where you're either zeroing or plussing all of your maneuvers, right? So even if you severely not minus a maneuver, if you don't pick up any minuses somewhere else and you maybe get a plus in a couple of other places, you can end up pretty high in the overall placings, right? So this is, just want everybody to know this is tough to sort out towards the 4th and 5th and under, right? 5th and under, probably 6th and under. When we start getting in here, it's really tough to sort out. To don't be like, this show's ridiculous, right? Any show you go to, right? Whether it's mine or someone else's, just keep in mind, like, nail the patterns cleanly and then see where you end up, right? If you have major bobbles, like we end up on the wrong side of cone or we split cones or whatever, it really is difficult to judge, right? So let's just try to make sure we come out here, put together good patterns, run that 70, and then try to build from there. So we see these 70s. These people really brought their A game, picked up pluses everywhere. Really happy with the job they did. The rest of us just making sure that we get a little bit more time in our horses. We just focus on that pattern a little bit more, work on that pattern, get yourself a little bit more square, settle down, take your time, get ourselves working with our horses a little bit better. All right, awesome. And a great class, guys. Big class, tough to judge. In our top 3, exhibitors really stood out for me. Very nice job. Very nice job, guys. All right, so moving to senior. Do we have enough time to senior? We have 17 in senior. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We have 45. We started at 3. It took an hour and 15 minutes to do those. We'll get through as much as we can. May have to split this class. We'll do as much as we can. So we'll go ahead and minus this. Bring these up. All right. Lot of horses. Let's do this. This might be easier. Move this here, move this here, move this here. Go across and bring all of you over here. 17 horses in the senior class. Big class. So this pattern going to be children and senior. This pattern right here. You're very welcome, Stacy. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you had a good time. Awesome, Amy. Congratulations, by the way. So glad you, your first show experience, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations. You're right out the bat. You're 1 for 1. Very good job. All right, so showmanship children and senior. We're going to trot from A to B, stop, back halfway, 270, trot to the judge, set up, 90, trot away. So a lot of trotting in this pattern. 3 different trot offs. We're really testing that ability to trot off, like we talked about earlier. Testing that ability for the exhibitor to back into line with the judge. Hopefully we can see some good backs into a line. We can see the exhibitors really being tested for that. And we can kind of go from there. So let's make sure we have all of these. This one was one of the first ones. Move you over here. There we go. All right. So these are all going to be playing. All going to be playing. Hold, hold, hold on, hold on. Lots of horses in this class. We'll probably have to get halfway through this. All right. So we're here. Ready at Kone. Like the way this exhibitor is ready. Really nice. Miranda Schneider. So we are ready at Kone. We're ready to show. We've got good lines. We're very accurate. Horse looks balanced. Horse looks ready. Let's see what we've got. So we're going to trot down this line. A little bit of a crouch there. Wouldn't mind seeing her stay straight up a little bit. Again, but it's a good trot off, right? The horse really moves off nice. Just wouldn't want to see you crouch down through that. Good backup here. Going so far. Very clean, very crisp. We'll pick up a +1 for that. Stop was pretty good. 270 looks good so far. Going around real smooth across there. We're going to give her +1 for that. Trot was really good. Horse crowds are a little bit, maybe he gets a little bit crooked into that line. Wouldn't mind seeing him drive through that just a little bit harder. A little too leany there, right? So we come across here, maybe a little too much. You are repping the Good Ride shirts. We love our friends over at Good Ride. We do have a little bit too much lean here for me. I don't want to see you lean that far back over your hips, right? Make sure you keep everything square, keep everything straight underneath of you. Setup was really fast, though. So once I pass this shoulder, you should be with me. Good. Hard to see, right? Hard to see. Come across. So again, we see that a little bit too far leaning with those shoulders. Make sure you stay up and square. Kind of far away from our horse. I don't mind you being a little bit away from him, but make sure you're a little bit closer than that. kind of see that same, like, let's break some eye contact here. That's a little too much. Good, Elaine. Very good. A little too much eye contact for me. Make sure you check your horse because he was kind of looking off there. He does look very happy right now, though. I do like that. Yeah. So head's a little high for this pivot. See how the top line came up a little bit there. I like seeing their heads up for the inspection, but for the pivot stuff, for the rest of the showmanship, I probably want to see him drop down a little bit. Head ends up a little bit high here. I would imagine he's going to probably pop up a little bit when he goes to trot off. Maybe he's not going to be able to trot off as well. Yeah, right there, he said a little come up. And then keeping your body elevated too so we don't get the crunch, right? Don't crunch down and tuck down right there. We drop everything, we kind of lean forward a little bit. Stay up with everything, and then you kind of avoid that like little pop right there. Good stop. I like you petting your horse, thank you. Thank you for petting your horse. Thank you for enjoying your horse. Good pattern though, really good pattern. Very crisp, very clean. No major bobbles there. Picking up some good marks. I like it. Make sure everything's good here. Inspection's really good. Awesome. Very good. Come on. So we're here. She's the ultimate in Corey Hall. Senior showmanship. Senior showmanship? Yeah. So ready at cone A, we see this horse nice and balanced there. We're ready to go. I like it. Very careful across there. Probably could speed that up a little bit. Kind of leaning that horse through this pattern, kind of dragging her along. Let me make sure I have this written down. No back numbers, right? A little bit difficult. A little difficult. A little different. All right. So we're here. We do our stop. A little dribbly. Wish for a better stop there. Back is pretty clean. Horse does try to take a little nibble out of us there. We do manage to get through it, but does try to take a little piece out of us. But it was a pretty good back overall. So just something to keep in mind. Good trot, good stop there. Maybe turns his head a little bit towards us. We do have to recover that and kind of fix that there. Horse is kind of leaning away from us a little bit here. See why we keep chasing him, right? We got to keep hunting him down. This is why I say don't move your feet when you set your horse up. Make sure you pull him back in line. So if he leans out that way, you just pull him back over so he can't just keep getting further and further away from you. We do have a ring steward starting to the right here, a little bit more challenging crossover, I think, just because you have to come back across here. It gets a little bit awkward. So we're here, crossing over. Very careful, ring steward. Maybe our hand gets a little bit low here. Maybe pick that horse's head up just a little bit. We are tall, right? So keeping that horse's head elevated a little bit will help you keep underneath of his chin. Remember that horse does not have to have a level top line. This is the halter portion, so you can pick that horse's head up a little bit if you have to. Maybe lead with our hand a little bit too much there. We put a little bend in our horse's body. So coming across there, if we don't maybe push his head so far, then maybe that ends up being a little bit more accurate turn. He does hold a pivot foot, but he does get a little bit crooked. Trot line here looks good. Good, so trots away really nice. Still kind of gets a little bit draggy here. I'd like to see that horse stay up with her. I do like the pleasant expression though. Whoops. I do like that she stays up and pleasant, but kind of see the same thing that we see here where this horse kind of wallers out there a little bit, kind of leans down into her from there. So 270, let's watch this 270 and do our trot line. Oh, excuse me. There we go. So we're here. Pull this forward a little bit. Horse kind of leans back, rocks back into her. Would want to see a little bit more level top line through those pivots. Horse kind of stays up on its neck. Want to see that stay a little bit more balanced across there. So this kind of hurts us a little bit here in our inspection. That horse kind of starts leaning away from us, right? Awesome. Very good. Nice job. Nice job, Corey. So Corey and another one. Let's come here. So this is Skip D Fancy Jack. Let me write down the name of the other one then. She's the ultimate. So 2 chances of this pattern for Corey. 2 different horses. So we're here. Here, horse is a little campy here in this setup. Would like to see a little bit tighter set. His back leg's kind of out behind us. Kind of get these front legs out behind us. Kind of a tight set. Just something to keep in mind. Maybe be hard for him to trot out of this. Yeah, see that pop up. So I like when I can say things and then it happens, right? So maybe kind of hard for him to trot out of that because he's kind of a long package. If he was a little bit tighter, he could probably push himself out of that trot off, and you wouldn't get that head pop, right? So if you come back and you look at that again and go here, because he's kind of long out behind himself and because this is kind of stretchy, he's going to have to catch up at some point. And here's where he decides to, right there, he picks his head up and pops those shoulders forward because things just weren't lined up where we want them to, right? This horse trots forward a little bit more free than the other one. Does die out a little bit, a little better stop. Don't mind seeing that. Horse comes up and stops a little bit more accurately. Let's go here. Let's go. Backup is really nice, though. I do like the way he backs up, moves freely through that. That's really nice. Pivot ends up good here. Maybe a slight overturn. Maybe just a little bit too far back. Does end up with a really straight line there. Do like that a lot. We do end up with the same kind of problem with this horse, right? Where that head gets over here a little bit too far. We lose control of those feet. So we do want to work on setups with both of these horses. Ring sort of opts for the same kind of crossover here, so that's good. A little wobbly. We're a little late there. A little early there. So I need some caffeine. A little late there, a little early there. And then we're right on time here. So we kind of caught back up. Just make sure you're moving across there evenly. Watching those quadrants, getting across there. Again, not a huge penalty, but not a plus either. That's good. Good little hesitant to trot off there, but he does nail the pivot. Let's watch it one more time. I do like the lightness on the lead. It's very, very soft in our hand. Like he was moving there. Just make sure he goes, right? So we were kind of trotting first. Make sure that horse goes first. If we want to get into that plus one, plus two range, as it stands right now, just plus half for me. Nice shot, Corey. 2 horses. You have lots of practice in that pattern. All right, so we got this Chevy's rocking. Jennifer Thomas. Okay. All right, so we're here. Cone A, everything looks good. Horse is a little bit unpleasant experience. Little expression there. I don't know why I keep saying experience. Little unpleasant expression. Would like to see his ears forward this cone. Setup looks good. Our showmanship looks good. Let's see how we do. Trot off was okay. Doesn't really lag behind us. Would like to see more expression if we're going to talk about getting more points there. Stop was pretty good. Let's watch that back one more time. I was writing stuff down. Stop was good. Does recover a little bit there, a couple extra steps. Back is good. It's a big horse, right? So it's got a back. We have this pattern set pretty wide. So giving her lots of time to back up. She does look like she's perfectly in line with us. That's good. Horse does save her a little bit there. She kind of gets leaned back over that back end a little too far. She kind of takes that big step back, kind of rocks back. So I would like to see that horse stay up through that pivot. Trot off towards our judge is very, very brisk. I like that. So we added some degree of difficulty. We drove all the way to the judge, so that's going to pick up some points there. Setup, probably could leave this, right? Can't really tell. Probably could have left that setup as is and been a little bit better off. Maybe saved us a couple seconds, saved us some time there. Kind of a little awkward crossover there. Like to see those feet together. Like to see your hips and your body stay angled towards your horse the whole time, so you're pivoting around that horse. We kind of get our shoulders leaned off every now and then. But a nice job overall. So for our 90 and trot, horse looks good to pivot. Everything stays straight. Very, very good. Trot away. Horse is a little sluggish to trot away. Does nail the 90 though. Does get that pretty accurate across there. Do like seeing that. Wish this horse would have trotted off like real sharp, right? Coming through that pivot, get that horse up, move it with you, and really command and drive that horse through there. If we're going to be talking about getting a really big plus points, that's where we want to be. Don't want to see those little walk steps right there. Wish we could just get those horses to trot right up with us. A good pattern though. Really good pattern so far. One of our leaders so far. Let's move that here. Help me if I do these in order as we go, right? So here, 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 here. And just remember that I'm on 5. All right, so we're here. Kirsty. All right, so we're ready at cone A. Again, we're kind of in motion before we get going here. A little bit awkward camera work here. We've seen that a lot. Ears are forward. Setup looks great. Good expression. Big plus here to start with. Let's see if she can maintain that upper echelon look as we go. Horse trots off really clean. I like the balance between the exhibitor and the horse's steps there. She does crouch down a little bit, but pretty clean, pretty crisp across there. Do like that trot. Stop and back was pretty accurate. Pivot's really good. Pivots very well. Trot off here, super crisp, super clean. Like to see those eyes stay up all the way to the end. Kind of caught her looking at the dirt there, but pretty accurate overall. Good setup here. Maybe a little close behind, but not too bad. The ring sort goes to the right this time, so we have to keep that in mind. Good. Maybe a little timid here. Want to see some pep, right? Want to see some step across there. Maybe a little more business-like walk across. We're a little bit soft. Given the rest of our pattern was fairly soft too, so it's okay. Certainly not losing any points, that's for sure. But if we want to get towards that +3 range, let's speed that up a little bit. Make that a little more business-like. Pretty good though, good pivot. Maybe a little rushy coming out of that pivot. A great trot off afterwards. Really like seeing that. Very nice. Horse stays down with her. I would like to see her stay up a little bit more in her showmanship. She kind of gets crunched down, especially when she does her trot lines. Kind of see that in the first trot line right here. Right here. She gets crouched down just a little bit. It's a little long and low, but it's pretty nice. Maybe bring this upper body back just a shade if you're talking about picking up extra points, but really good pattern overall. Really good pattern. Nice job, Kirsten. Backup could be just a touch faster if we want to pick up more points there, but nice turn. Yeah, really good pattern. Very, very good. All right. So we're on to Jill Rock. So we're here. Again, kind of awkward setup across here. Horse looks good though. Horse could stand a little bit more positive expression. He's just kind of listening to us, but we're in motion already, so maybe he was before we got this point. A little bit of weird pause there. Would like to see him go off. That's a good trot off though. Really good trot line. So see that all that drama happened below the waist, right? That's what we're looking for. So that's gonna be a big credit earning trot line right there. Very nice. Good stop. Really crushed that stop. So that's about as good as you could get, right? Maybe a little awkward pause through there would have put us in the +3 range, but that's a really good trot line into a good stop. So we'll see how she backs up here. Good, crisp, clean back. Got this tuck. Wish for a more pleasant expression. Wish for a more pleasant expression, but we don't unfortunately see that today. But the horse does move with us. Really nice. Very, very smooth, very accurate across there. A little bend in our horse's body. We get kind of this rib cage hanging out over here. Wish he would have stayed a little bit straighter here, but certainly nothing to complain about. Trot line look here looks good. He plays a little bit with his head and neck, but not too bad. She takes the time to get this set up. Very particular about it. She crosses over nice and businesslike. Good, very accurate. Very clean crossover. So I like that last crossover a little bit better. So if you notice, as we talked about, right, where it changes, you see the way she steps across there, the way she crosses over changes about halfway through. So right here, 1, 2, 3, slide. 1, 2, 3, slide. And then we come back across 1, 2, 3 together, little slide. And that's gonna be 4 steps, 2, 3, 4, right? That's how I like seeing it. It looks just a little bit more balanced to me. When you slide your foot like that, it gets a little bit awkward. So I like seeing the 4 steps personally. But the biggest thing is I want you to be consistent, right? A good pivot there. Should be a good trot off. Yes, horse stays nice. Very, very good. Great pattern, great pattern. Really nice. So we've got some really good patterns going here. Horse does take a little bit of a little letter. Would have maybe made the difference between some 2s and 3s there in our scores. Great stop there. It really drills that. Pretty particular about our setup. I don't mind it. It's just if it was faster and it was that good, we'd be more in the +3 range. But really good pattern overall, and that's our class leader so far. Nice job. All right. Make sure I got this one. Yep. Perfect. All right. So we're here, we've got Josie Skibby, can't touch my assets. Kind of a long pause there. Like I said, things in motion need to stay in motion. So you see that trot off. I think this can be a sharper trot off if we had gone off and just moved, right? Just move up into that trot. Horse is not the greatest pleasure expression in the world. Would like to see more expression if we're talking about getting those extra points. A good stop, a good back, maybe a little bit crooked back up. Horse kind of leaves her a little bit. We'll just call that a 0. Horse is a little bit afraid of her through this turn here, right? So he's pivoting on the wrong foot, a little bit scared of her, right? So he's a little afraid of this shoulder, kind of leaning that out here, kind of curling his body away from her. So making sure that we keep everything underneath of us. He gets a little bit up and a little bit leading with his front end. That's why he pivots on the wrong foot here. So remember, that's a forward turn. So I'm gonna pull that foot forward, make sure that he steps up into his turn, up around his pivot, rather than backing through it, right? Stop was pretty good. It does get his head a little bit crooked there. I was marking notes down, so we'll make sure that we catch that. It's the advantage of instant replay, right? Trot line looks really good. Does stop just a touch crooked to kind of dribble things out over here. That's that head and neck pulling towards us, which opens this shoulder, lets it leak out. Does pull it back in line though for a setup, which I enjoy seeing, right? That's someone that is well aware that her horse did that, so she's gonna fix it. Great. Do like the way she's a little bit far away from her horse here, kind of gets those arms straight. Wouldn't mind seeing her stay a little bit closer to him so she can maintain some bend in her arm so we're not locking those elbows out, right? I don't want to see you lock those elbows out. Does cross in with her outside leg first, which is awkward to me. Let's see if she stays with it and kind of maintains that all the way across, or if she changes things. So there's that inside leg again, or outside leg. So this should be our right leg coming across here as she comes across. Does. So that's her style, right? That's just the way she does it. To me, it looks awkward, but as long as she stays consistent about it, so this should be this leg. Yep. So she kind of had a little shuffle in there, a couple little quick steps, but she does move across the same way. Not credit earning, not credit minusing to me. No penalty for that, but just wish it would have been more clean. For his pivot here, does get his head up a little bit, does kind of come away. He's not literally paying attention right there, so we kind of are in a bad spot to start with. We do end up pulling him back, and this is why our horse backs to the pivots that are coming up forward, right? So coming through here, we're pulling into that horse's body, right? So we're going to back him through coming across there, right? We're going to back him through that turn. So we're already setting him up for coming through here, backing him around, all right? We don't want to have him back around there. So we're already pushing back. That's why that foot slides backwards, and we do end up sliding that back foot and pivoting on the wrong foot again. But a good pattern overall. Wish that we nailed those pivots, because the rest of the pattern was pretty good. All right, so we have Joshua LaMarche. I don't know who this is, though. Let me see if I can find it. Don't have a name on this one. We'll have to find it back. Use the process of deduction to figure out who this is. I'm going to guess this was Josie. So this is going to be Amanda Roman, Canta Bubblegum, do you believe? Write that down. Forgot it already. Amanda. All right. So we're here, right at cone A. This looks good. Would love to see this horse steers forward, but you can't have it all, right? So having here, she got good lines, good accurate position. We'll see how she does. Good clean trot off there. Not my favorite. Would have loved to have seen a little bit more drive through there. Certainly not bad, right? Not penalty at all. Just a +1 for me. Nothing stand out, but not bad. Head and neck's a little bit high here for our backup. I like to see one drop their neck level and really tuck their back in. So a credit earning backup, but not blowing me out of the water. Just gonna give her +0.5 for that one. Coming through here, I like this pivot a lot. This horse stays really straight in his head and neck. Seems to be straight to the judge. Maybe a little bit extra step right there, or maybe a little 1/8 off now. But nice. Good. Clean all the way to the judge. I like the way she comes all the way up. Arms are a little high here, a little high, and a little away from us, right? So bring those arms down, because when you do that, it just kind of leans your shoulders back naturally. So if you get really high, you kind of come back like this. So we can pull these shoulders in line, keep this back really flat and straight if we bring these arms down just a little bit. And our horse is not that tall, so we don't want to have our arms quite that high. At least when you go to like set up, right? When you're working here, like right through here, you got to work this setup. Our hands don't change for like the show part of it, right? The showmanship halter part of it. So I don't mind seeing somebody pick their hands up for the halter part, but you were setting your horse up there, so it wasn't the showmanship part. You know what I mean? All right. Coming across here, maybe a little late there. A ring sword kind of help us out. And again, we kind of see that straight arm. Make sure you don't lock these elbows out. Keep those arms to you. This is a better position. So see where she keeps these arms just a little bit tighter there. Stays a little bit more right here. Before she was kind of out here. And again, we talk about your showmanship, right? If you want to get those +3s, +2s, like we've seen in some of these other patterns, keeping your showmanship relatively square all the time is really important to me. Just stay consistent. Wherever it is that you're going to be, stay consistent there. And then we won't be able to be like, oh, well, then I can decide if I like your arms there, if I don't. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, well, our arms just kind of fall where they may. Sometimes we pick them up, sometimes we don't. But a good inspection overall. She moves across there quickly, she moves across there smoothly. Pivot ended up being pretty good. Both pivots pretty good. Does lean forward a little bit for that trot off, kind of gets her arms pinchy, right? So maybe something you don't notice so much in a showmanship outfit, but something that you do notice here. I just feel like her arms are just too tight like this, okay? Just relax natural at your sides, okay? You start to get too tight, then it kind of breaks up your line right there. And we start, pumping with our shoulders. We don't watch the late show. We start pumping with our shoulders and we hold our arms too tight. Okay, so you start doing this. You trot. You start pinching. Start waving those shoulders. Make sure those arms stay straight so you can trot like this, up and down. Trot forward. All the drama happening underneath. Right. Otherwise, we start pumping with these shoulders. We get just a little too pinchy right there. And see, it's mostly because those arms slide forward, right? Because you're pinching a smaller area than your actual body. So if you were right here, you'd be pinching up here, right, in your armpit, as opposed to pinching down here towards the middle of your waist, your abdomen, when you slide your arms forward. If she kept her arms back, she could keep that a little bit more square, wouldn't have as much shoulder pumping as she kind of ends up with. Pretty good pattern overall, though. Does move off nice, so we'll give her credit for that. All right, so we've got Going for Baroque. Let me make sure I have a name on this one. Bailey Schubauer. All right, so we're ready to Kone. Looks good. We're maybe a little bit too far forward with our upper body here. Just a touch, right? Just a slight amount. I do like the build of this horse, right? We're talking about the halter portion of this class. I like the way this horse is made. Comes out of his neck really clean here. Drapers down to the bottom. We've got a great look right here. So you're already starting out with a plus to me. Let's see if we can maintain it. Okay, so we're a little bit awkward across there. We kind of duck around our horse. Kind of have to drop and duck. A little bit awkward twirl there. Horse tries to take a little nibble at us right here. Happens a lot. Maybe a touch slow there. I think there's more room to get here. A little bowie in his neck. Let me make these notes as we go here. It is a good backup, right? But he's a little bowie in his neck. He does curl up a little bit. He does move the whole way across, so you're not looking at a penalty, but you're certainly not going to get the +3s from me if your horse is bowing his neck up and kind of hiding from that. So our trot was good. Our back is good so far. You want to get the speed and the accuracy in there now, right? You're very accurate across there. Now let's add some speed to it. This pivot looks really good. Good. Finishes up nice and straight to our judge. Does try to take a little nibble at us right here, coming across here. And we are a little safe through that. Good setup. Very good job. So we come across here. We are a little close to our horse's face, and then a horse that wants to take a little nibble out of us in the first place, that's not the position I want to be in. So make sure when you cross your hand under here that he doesn't be able to take a hold of it. Yeah, see, there he is. That's kind of what I'm talking about, right? So now we're underneath his chin. So people always ask me, how do I avoid getting my horse to bite me in a class? This is going to be how, right? Don't feed your arm to him. So make sure he keeps his head straight. If he can get his head over here, he can bite your arm. And that's kind of what I was talking about, right? Where this horse, if he wants to take a little nibble out of you in the first place, that's what we're going to end up with. Now he's just kind of gently nudging your arm, right? Just softly nuzzling you. So just making sure that your horse stays up through that, stays accurate. I would say with this horse, because he doesn't want to nibble on us, when you practice this, just make sure you don't over drill it with him. He already kind of decided that he doesn't really love this class, right? It's a good trot. He just tries to bite us the whole time. He's very pretty in the trots and stuff. It's very floaty, right? Like when we watch this trot line right here, we end up kind of crouching. We're kind of on the moon bounce, right? We're like real slow motion coming across there. Let's speed this up a little bit so we kind of take the bounce away from this trot. You're really good trotter, right? Like keep your upper body really steady, keep your shoulders square. But we just like, look how tall you are, right? Look how long these legs are. If we lose that leg when we're trotting this line, you know what I mean? Like we don't look that tall at the bottom of our trot because we're kind of just bent kneed. This is kind of hard on your knees for me, right? So let's stay elevated. Let's keep these shoulders up. And we could probably speed this trot up a little bit because we're very tall. We have long legs. And maybe push the pace a little bit to give this horse a little bit more to do, right? We make this class a little bit more interesting for him. Maybe we'll take out some of this little nibbly stuff and just big rewards, right? So make it interesting, make it challenging, and then reward him for trying hard. That way we're not over schooling him, right? Because we want to make him enjoy this class, right? Even if you have to train him with treats to make him enjoy this class. So he's not wanting to take a chunk out of us. Thanks, Mom. That's my mom right there, saying I look fancy. So right here, very, very good. Little bounce there in that setup. Don't really want to see that. I do like the smile here. I do like the pleasant expression. Very happy about this. But yeah, just keeping that horse's head straight in inspection will prevent you from missing a finger, right? We don't want to miss a finger, right? A good pattern overall. Do wish this horse had a little bit better expression. Do wish that he would have put his ears forward and not tried to nibble at us a little bit because otherwise we would have ended up really good, right? Because we're in that plus range for most of this stuff. If we can get him a little bit happy about the class, we're going to end up a little bit plus higher. All right, so we got another one right here. Same exhibitor, just different horse. This is Chrome. So we'll go BRS 5-3, Chrome. All right. Okay. Okay, so first impressions here, we got a good horse, good setup, good exhibitor. Probably could, and this is kind of what I saw in the other pattern too, right? Just a little bit more presence to you, right? Just picking those shoulders up, getting a little bit more presence, getting everything just opened up and confident. This is a class where you want to show everything off, right? I just feel like our exhibitor's a little bit slouchy here. Want to see her just pick everything up, get a little bit more confident. Her last pattern was really good. So, and then we see that lean forward, the crouch down, right? I don't want to see the crouch down. And this head's too low, right? And some of that problem is because of our crouch down. So keeping this top line level across this whole pattern is what I'd like to see. And we end up just kind of pulling this horse's head down too far here. I mean, we've gone from tall to very, very short, right? We've shrunk almost 6 inches just in the last 2 seconds, right? So she's certainly crouched down. Let's move this out. Let's move this trot out. Let's get our shoulders picked up. Let's get some extension in our legs, and then we'll speed this trot up that way. Okay, because we're very accurate with our trots. Let's just make sure it's a little bit faster here. The back here a little bit pushy, right? That horse kind of it moves, but it's not blowing me away. I'd like to see it move a little bit smoother through that. It's got better expression than the other horse, but I want to see her moving through this just a little bit easier. That's a good pivot. We both decided, right? We both waited on that, waiting to see if she'd finish that foot. We both kind of like, are you kind of in an awkward place here? So this is the same time I'm watching this. She's watching it going, are you gonna fix? Okay, maybe not. So then we just kind of ignore it. We do back a little bit too far, so we have to kind of hook back in here to our judge. Kind of see that right there. She does do it soon enough that she can come up here straight, which is good. Gets a quick setup, very accurate. Again, we're kind of buried behind this horse's nose, so if this horse decides he wants to take a bite out of us, he certainly could right here, right? Because we kind of end up close to him. See how close our hand is to our face. And that's just because we're so far away over there, right? Do have a little X marks the spot right there for our ring store. That's really good. So we're just kind of far away right here, so we end up having to come around his face. If we come out further towards his nose, she can work across that line a little bit easier. Does pick up a foot and put it back down, kind of saved us there. And that's why we want to make sure we check our horse, right? So if that horse had been resting behind, or we see this horse pick up a foot right there, right? You see that knee bent, horse picks up a foot. If we were checking our horse here as we come across here, maybe we notice that shifting of the weight on our horse. So we come across this way, we notice that horse shifting his weight, and we can correct that before it becomes an issue. Luckily, that horse does put it down in the same place, which is nice. Better than the alternative, which is moving it completely, which would be terrible. And then again, we kind of just crunch up and we have this kind of slow trot. I want to see you extend these legs. Got long legs, let's use them. Let's push this trot a little bit. Horse is very accurate. Just want to see you go from the +1s, that region, the +1 region, into the +2, +3 range, because that's how you're going to be able to stand out in a class like this, right? When we get a class of everyone doing the pattern accurately, simply playing it safe is not going to be enough. Very good. All right, so we've got Debbie Lean, I believe. Make sure. Yep. Debbie Lane. All right, so first impressions first. We'll go here. We're pretty accurate, right? I like this horse's head up. I like our showmanship. We're a little bit straight armed, so maybe bring that arm in a little bit closer, stand a little bit closer to your horse. Angle your toes a little bit more towards your horse so you don't have this different angle of your shoulders versus your hips, right? Our hips are pointing straight out here, and our shoulders are pointing towards our horse. So we end up with two different angles. We're kind of like this. We have to bend awkwardly in the middle. Don't necessarily want to do that. So here, coming around, and that's part of the problem, right, is because we started out a little bit behind our horse, so we have to step around there kind of awkwardly across there. We're a little bit, I would find it hard to make a trot off out of that position, just because we lose that momentum, right? So our ring sword nods to us, we kind of lose the momentum coming across there, and now we're going to have to kind of drag our horse. It does move off willingly, though. Let me make sure I make these notes as we go. It does move off willingly, so it is a pretty trot as it goes, but I just would have liked to have seen that be a little bit smoother. Stop is pretty good. Back up is a little bit slow. There she recovered. Now it's a little bit smoother. Certainly not going to minus, not going to plus that. Just going to call it what it is. Pivots around here. Horse comes a little bit unsteady with its head and neck. It's a little unsure about making that crossover step. It wants to pick its neck up as it goes. So we can work with that and say, you know what, we could drop that horse's neck down, teach it to use its shoulders without picking its head up. Right? I want to watch that trot line one more time. So eyes down right here. Would love to see this exhibitor keep her eyes up. Let's focus on where we're going. We want to watch this shoulder or somewhere right behind us right here. If you're thinking about, like, if your ring steward standing right here, if this is my shoulder, I want you to pick a point right there, like that lamp right behind me. Make sure you're looking towards that lamp so you bring your horse to that line. If we're looking down, it's kind of like driving, look at the steering wheel. You're going to have a hard time making that line through there. That dirt's not going anywhere, I promise. I always tell my exhibitors, if there's a hole in the dirt, I'll let you know. All right, so this setup is a little bit close up front, a little bit far behind. Kind of looks like this foot is a little bit off. We'll see if we get to walk around this horse or not. I'm not sure. Here's that straight arm that I was talking about. Want to avoid locking those elbows. Keep this arm a little bit closer to you, and you can control this horse a little bit easier and make this class a little bit easier on yourself. So you're not holding your arm out here, because this gets tiring, right? You have that arm that far out in front of you. It gets pretty tiring. Keep that arm underneath of you. Keep this elbow back to you so you don't have to work so hard. See that straight arm? We don't want to lock these elbows out, right? Maybe a little awkward across there. Work on that footwork, getting across there. The ring sword helped us out a lot right there. That's that pressure that I was talking about, right? We want to feel this pressure coming across here. Ring sword had to take a pause to wait for us to move around. Don't want to have to do that. Ideally, we feel the pressure of that ring sword coming close to us and we move out of the way. Closing that pivot. I'd like to see a pause, right? I just want to see you pause with your feet towards the horse and not necessarily like in go mode. So when my feet get pointed right here, we're in drive mode. That horse should be already moving, right? It should take its weight and be driving forward. I would want to pause as my feet are square to my horse, right? If I'm going to pause, I'm going to pause right here rather than like right here. Because once I get like this way, I want that horse to be moving with me. So it should look like this, where everything moves off. See, that horse is ahead of me. The horse is ahead of me. Okay, so when I go and I finish my pivot, I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to reach back, scoop that horse up, and drive everything forward, right? So what happened there is we do our pivot, and now we pause right here, And now we have to step off and we got to drag our horse up. And we're just kind of end up being disconnected through the whole pattern, right? So you end up like this, rather than just one smooth driving line. Good. All right, so we got Stacey Thomas. GJC, Hunting for Dreams, is our next exhibitor. So first impression, we've got a little bit, maybe a little bit pinchy here. Wouldn't mind seeing her open her arms up. Again, this class is about being big, it's about being expressive, it's about having presence. When you get pinchy, kind of like giving yourself a hug, right? We want to make sure we're safe out there. Open your arms up, open your chest up, open everything up, and let's get showy with this. And for some people, that's a little awkward, right? Maybe it's not in our comfort zone. A little slow to trot off, not too bad though. Doesn't offend me either way. Do you see this horse, or this exhibitor working a little bit harder than this horse, right? The deeper your dirt, the more you have to pull your toes up. So see, you get here, these toes pointed down, that's gonna hurt us in the deeper dirt. We're gonna have to struggle a little bit. You see her kind of spinning out with this right front leg. She's kind of pulling herself through the dirt, working a little bit harder than our horse is. A good stop. I just erased something, good. Into a good backup here. I like this horse keeping its head down, moving across there smoothly. That's going to be a +1 for me. I do like the way that they back up like that. She's not pressuring that horse. We're keeping everything fluid. A little cautious pivot here. She does execute the pivot correctly, maybe a little underturned. Wouldn't mind seeing her go just a little bit further. Maybe one more leg over, right? Kind of depends on where our ring steward is. We are the ring steward. So yeah, could have backed up one more step or gone a little bit further. Kind of done it that way. Would have helped out a little bit. Good setup. That's the dream, right? We get that in 2 steps. Very good. Good. Maybe you could bring these arms back just a touch. I like to see those straight from our elbow down, right here. We kind of get out in front of us right here, which kind of makes it pinchy, right? So we end up curling right here, and we get pinchy down here in the middle of our body. So we're talking about like right here, we end up getting pinchy across here, and then we can't keep our chest open, right? So we want to open up your shoulders, open up your chest, get these shoulders rolled back so we don't end up curling our shoulders forward and down and kind of, again, just hiding, right? We saw that in the initial setup on the first side. We see that again here in this inspection. If we're talking about getting those big pluses, that's something that I want to watch for. And we just end up with our hands really close together, right? So everything's just kind of pinched up. Open things up, get a little bit more showy through this class. Have confidence. You're doing a good pattern so far. Be confident with it. Be open, be expressive. Maybe a little awkward pause right there. Would have liked to have seen her go straight into it. Right here, the judge comes around. Judge is going to nod. She's going to move across. Go. Looks like she kind of waits for another instruction there. So I would like to have seen her just go off, right? Pivot's good. Trot off is good. She keeps her upper body straight. Much better, much better. So if we want to pick up points there, like to see that petting the horse always. If you want to pick up points there, for me, you're going to have to make sure that you don't do that awkward pause, right? That awkward pause. But other than that, really good pattern, really clean. So we see that really clean patterns, no major minuses, no major faults. That's kind of what we're going for, right? So start to change from not picking up minuses to starting to get pluses, and then get all pluses, and then all +1s, and all +2s, all +3s. That's what we're going for as we try to be more competitive in this class. So camo. Right. So we're here. First impression. All right. We've got a big showing experience here, right? Our exhibitor is up, it's showing. We're maybe a little bit too far leaned back, but that's okay. I would much rather see this. We talked about the last exhibitor, how we kind of got a little bit curly. We got a little bit scared looking at that cone. So I like this. I like that big expression. I want to see someone who's excited to be in this class, excited to be here, wants to show off her horse, right? Let me make sure I have everything pulled up over here. You're very welcome, Stacy. So here, so that's a little lean forward, right? A little lean forward and crouch. Kind of come down here this way. Make sure you stay up. Lead with your legs, right? Lead with your hips, and that will help you, right? Don't lead with your shoulders. If you're leading with your shoulders through these turns or these trot offs, this is kind of the position we end up in. Gonna be hard to get up bonus points for this. Even if he trots well, it's hard to come past a +1 for me if we end up in this position, right? If you want to end up in the +2, +3 range for me, you're going to have to keep your shoulders up and send your horse, right? So he trots forward cleanly, he trots forward willingly. We do recover our position here. See, now we're no longer crouched forward. Has everything to do with that first step that we take, that we want to make sure that we lead with our leg, we lead with our heel. So we keep our toes up. If you lead with your toes down, it's going to pitch you forward, right? So now we're onto our heels the way we want to be. We're getting our toes up. We've recovered this line. Again, like I said, that's going to be a +1 for me. If we want to get that +2, +3 range, we're going to have to make sure that we get our body up for the beginning. A good stop, good clean back. Do like that a lot. We're going to +1.5 that. That's very, very nice. Horse does come up a little bit as we go to pivot right there. Does kind of leave us just a shade. A little bit indecisive across there, and we see that come up again, right? So if we watch him, he comes up right after this turn right here. He comes up. Watch this, up and down. All right, so I just kind of watch the top line through this. We know that at this stage of the game, right, we're in the senior showmanship and we're in the open showmanship. We know that most horses are going to hold a pivot foot. We don't really have to worry about that anymore. So now we can start watching this top line. We can watch how smooth everything is. So I start watching across the top and say, okay, do things stay right here? Can that horse, because this is a skill, right? This is a talent that your horse got to be able to do. Something you're going to have to teach him how to do is keep his neck down and turn. So he doesn't do this with every step, right? That he does this. And you're going to see that again right here when she goes to bring this leg in. She kind of lost her momentum. She lost her motion. So that horse wasn't really sure where he's supposed to go right here. And then we kind of have to bring that leg in, right? A good trot line. He kind of fades away a little bit with his shoulder and his hip. He tries to lean out a little bit. She does bring him back in line, which is good. But we do stop a little bit crooked behind because of it. Just very, very slight. Good fast setup. I do like that a lot. She comes across here, very businesslike in her moves. I like that a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4 together. Very good. Do want to see her hawk eye judge. So we break that kind of awkward eye contact. We've talked about that a lot. I like the way she does showmanship, though. I think pulling this arm back would kind of help us with this illusion of her arm being so far back. Some of that has to do with the white sleeves in her jacket. If you look at the line of her hips, her shoulders just a little bit far behind her hips. But the white sleeves certainly don't help, right? So think about that when you buy your show clothes. That's going to throw the eye off a little bit. That this, I can see this more than I can see this. So we do have a little curve in our back here, so we are a little bit too far back with our shoulders, but pulling this elbow back would clean that up a little bit. It just looks like we're leaning back because that arm is forward, right? If you think about this, look how this is leaning back, right? Regardless of whether our shoulder is leaning back or not, because this is a white line and because it's a little bit angled forward, look at the difference here. This looks like I'm leaning back, this looks like I'm straight up and down. So just think about where this bicep is in relation to your side, right? A little close to our hands. I think pulling this arm back would help with that separation. Just tuck that elbow against your side would help a lot with that. We tell people to put weight down through their elbows, right? Sink your elbows down, and that'll help you do your showmanship the way you want to. Sink your elbows, bring your shoulders right here, will help you a lot. I like this trot off a lot. Very clean, very crisp, very good pattern. Like the petting your horse. Thank you so much for that. Thank your partner. Your dance partner was there for you all the whole way through. Really good, really crisp, clean pattern. Going to end up towards the top of the class for me because of that. Do like the way that she went through everything. No major faults, right? That's what we want to see. We want to see clean patterns. Picking up pluses, picking up +1.5s, picking up +1s. That's what we're going for. Would have liked to have seen the 270 trot off be just a little bit crisper, but she did a nice job. Got just 4 patterns here left. We'll place this class. We'll probably take a break for the day. I'll go to the barn, probably log on later tonight and do more because we've got to catch up because we are behind. You're very welcome, guys. Very welcome, Susan. Glad you're enjoying it. So, yeah, we'll do these last 4. We'll place this class. We'll probably take a little break. I'll go to the barn. I'll ride my horses, check with my vet, make sure Molly's pregnant, and we'll go from there. All right, so we've got Megan Connolly next. Where are we? Yes, Megan Connolly next. All right, so first impressions here. We're a little bit leaned forward here. Like to see the shoulders come back a little bit. Horse got I wish I had a more pleasant expression, but we are set well. Looks like we are gathered up. Really good. Good clean trot off there. I like the horse led the way. She stays up in her body. Again, I wish for a more pleasant expression, but you can't have it all the time, right? We're talking about getting that +3, +3, +2, +3 range. Maybe we have a little bit more pleasant expression across there. But as it stands right now, that's +1 for me because he was moving up really cleanly. Do like this back up a lot. He moves crisp and clean across there, moving his body well. We have a bit more speed than some of the other horses that we've seen, but we're still lacking the impression the expression, of those ears forward. So that's going to carry through all of our maneuver scores. Going to be a plus 1.5 for me right there. I do wish that he had his ears forward and he backed like that, right? That would be the dream. A little tuck under here. I hope he doesn't bite her as she goes forward. Kind of looked like he wanted to there. Nope, pretty clean. Does hook his neck up a little bit here. You see a little bit of bend in his neck as we come across here. That's going to hurt your score a little bit. It was a good pivot, right, until the very end of that when his neck started getting behind his shoulders. So he started off kind of leaning through. It was an accurate pivot, right, but we do kind of lean through the whole way here. And this is what I saw right there, where he starts to lead with his shoulder. We get that hook in his neck. He's kind of leading his shoulders away from you. So either we're not keeping up with his shoulders or his shoulders are outrunning our hand. Either way, we would want to get to where this is squared up. Like we're pretty square here, but as we go further, you see where he gets a little bit behind with his neck, starts leading with that shoulder. So one of two things happening. Either he's outrunning our body and our position with his shoulder, whether that's over-schooled, right? If we get after that shoulder too much, we create that bend in our horse's neck. Or if we need to do a pull turn and square that back up and make sure that horse stays straight. Do want to finish that pivot straight. So she's coming straight to the cone here. Because of that head twist, right, you see where she gets a little bit off with her arms. This arm's just a little bit angled out. Good stop, though, really accurate stop. I like the way she came down to a halt. That commanding body language where our horse is going to respond well to that. A good setup here, and then it's a little lean forward, right? We kind of have these shoulders broke down a little bit. Let's work on pulling this upper body back, getting these shoulders rolled back. Will be just a little bit better setup and get closer to that +2 range. Because I like how she steps back, right? I like how she steps back, but maybe stepping back, giving him a little bit more room, or and pulling our arms back, giving him a little bit more line so we don't have to lean forward to stay with him, right? If our line is short, when you step back, you're going to have your arms further forward, and you're going to be pulling forward. Good. Good. I like that crisp crossover right there. Horse guy's ears forward. Love seeing that. Good expression across here. I messed it up. Pushed one in the wrong place. So right here, here's my score. That's a +1 for her for that, by the way. Doing really good across there. I like the way she crosses over. I like her movement. I like her footwork. We're probably going to +1.5 then. Very crisp, very clean. So I missed that pivot because I was talking. So coming across here. So again, we see that horse kind of lean into her hand a little bit. He's kind of thinking about, maybe I'm going to outrun my shoulder. Maybe I'm going to take a little nibble at you. Always thinking about that in our showmanship. Whenever I have a horse that lays her ears back like this, I always think, it might take a nibble out of us. So I want to make sure that we don't get that little pull across there, right? Make sure that head and neck stays straight. And whether that's a pull turn to square the shoulder back up or whatever we end up doing, to keep this a little bit more square. Horse does move off really evenly right there. We don't have anybody to video us for the end, but we do know we just trot to the end. There's no stop or anything, so it doesn't really matter. All I really care about is, does he trot off well? Because that tells us more about how he's going to trot than anything. So we can go here, we can rewatch that, and we can say, he's pretty clean. He's pretty crisp. So we can call that a +1. Nice job, man. All right, so we're here. Into Megan Corrales. So glad to hear you guys learning so much. That's awesome. She doesn't usually look that miserable. She's very nervous about the neighbor in the field. Yeah, that'll happen, right? Just the way it is, right? So glad you guys are enjoying this. Not very often you get to hear the play-by-play, the color commentary as we go, right? It's like watching football on TV where they're calling the plays out as they go. I'm enjoying it, right? It's a lot of fun. I'm glad to hear everybody's learning something. All right, so we're Megan Corrales here. We got 3 more to go in this class. So we are first impressions here. Good expression, right? Good clean line. She's standing up tall. We've got a pleasant expression on her face. We've got this horse. It's a little campy, right? Wouldn't mind seeing this back legs be up a little bit underneath of it. Maybe bring both of these fronts back a little bit. Help our horse be just a little bit more square. Again, so we see things like this and we go, that horse is going to have to recover a little bit to trot off, right? So if it's long when you start, it's not going to have a good base to push off from. So maybe it can't get into that trot quite as efficiently as if it could, right? And you see where we kind of lead that horse a little bit. Like the way she trots, though. I like the long expression. Probably could go a little bit faster with this horse. I think upping the challenge level with this horse would help a lot. But that's a pretty good stop. Pretty good trot. Good clean backup. She does get a little bit lost here. She kind of slows down. We have to break our stride a little bit. Does get a little bit lost there. no major faults there. Still gonna pick up a +1/2 for me, or +1/2 for me, because she did move through that trot pretty evenly. Did slide that foot, I think. Let me watch that back. So I think we slid this foot just a little bit. Yep, little slide in that foot, and then we end up a little bit crooked here. So we are gonna take a penalty for that, 270, doing that little foot slide. Want to make sure we avoid those situations, and we do end up a little bit crooked here. So depending on where our ring steward is coming through here, just a little bit crooked. She does recover. She has to pull back in. You see where that kind of shows up in our trot off if you watch that back. Because her body's crooked here, she's got to come back. You're going to get that little jolt back to the line. So here it happens right there. The horse comes up into it, and that's where you get that head pull. And then she kind of wings out again over there. Always tough when you're trotting to something. I'm not sure where our camera is or how much rail we have. It looks like we're pretty close to the rail given the size of the arena. So always tough to trot to something. And we see this horse kind of dip out like she's like, no, I'm going to make that corner. It's just habit, right? Forces of habit that horse probably very normally would make that corner. You just trot that circle. And she's like, I'm going to go, I'm going to go, I'm going to go, right? So always just watch that horse that she can trot straight all the way to something and really drive that line all the way. Okay, so a little awkward setup here. This leg keeps wanting to drift out on us, so we can watch that right leg and say, you know what, this right leg always kind of wants to keep stepping out and long, so let's get that horse pulled back in, kind of make that part of our daily routine with this horse to keep pulling her, maybe some pull turns, get control of this leg, because it does keep wanting to step out on us. Good, clean across there. Very nice. Very pleasant to look at, right? They've got a nice, relaxed, even, easy picture here. Good lines. That's what I want to see. I have kind of the fisheye lens, so it's a little bit weird. Record with a GoPro or something. So coming across here. So again, so you kind of see that right front, little stickiness shows up again right there. If you come back across here, so right front, watching that right front, it steps out, steps kind of funny there, and then she kind of quick steps into this and kind of loses her position. So maybe working on your horse's footwork a little bit. I like the trot off a lot. She kind of hooks her neck towards you. Yeah, just a little bit funny on that right front to where you don't have complete control of that leg because she's still getting away from us a little bit. You see that in your trots and stuff. Where that leg kind of hooks off, neck hooks off, hooking your neck towards you. Pretty good pattern overall though. Nice job. Nice job. I'm gonna +1/2 that last little bit there. All right. Chelsea Headley. If I mangle your name, I apologize. Chelsea Headley. Try to read fast. Try to do everything fast. All right. So we're here. Wrong side of the cone to start with, right? Given where our judge is. 3-year-old's first pattern. Nice. That's great then. There you go. So that's what we're talking about. So that's a green horse that just don't have control of that leg. She's not fully committed to giving you that leg. That's what happens, right? So it's a good start. So wrong side of the horse here. I hope we cross over. Maybe not. So remember where our judge is, right? We're standing at that cone. Judge is over here in this quadrant, so we would be in this quadrant right here. So we'd want to start on the other side. Tough break for this one to start off with. Just make a note of it. And we'll critique the rest of the pattern and give you something to work on anyway. So we're here. Trotting off. See, this is a good example, right? That horse doesn't trot because we trot. So I always make sure I tell people, make sure your horse goes first, right? Send that horse out there and then you keep up with it, right? So if this is the horse, this is our exhibitor. When you go across there and you go to move your horse off, move everything off, move everything up. Don't let your horse get fallen behind you. Don't ever get in that situation because then you do this weird thing where you're trotting and your horse isn't, and it just looks like we're begging them to trot off, right? Biggest thing for me here when we're doing this pattern is I want to see my exhibitor carry themselves, right? Keep your arms up, carry yourself around. We kind of see her get low with her arms. She kind of relies on that horse's head and neck to carry her around. That's a lot of pressure to put on our horse if you want them to carry their shoulders also. So just kind of begging this horse, right? We saw it in the trot off. We see it in this backup. We're kind of just like begging it to back up. Be definitive, right? Be a leader. Be confident in what you're doing. And the confidence that you carry through this pattern will, let me make sure I'm making notes, will carry you a lot through what you're doing, right? So making sure that if you carry a lot of body presence through this, remember horses are body language animals. So if you bring a lot of body presence and a lot of body language to your showmanship, your horse is probably going to follow you. And they're going to follow your lead here, right? So our lack of confidence in this, and whether it's a lack of confidence in this horse being able to do it, so we're going really carefully and really slowly, or our lack of confidence in ourselves to do this class, kind of shows up here and it kind of hurts us more than anything. I think if she was a little more confident with the team, we would be in better shape. She kind of gets her eyes down here as she makes this trot line. And again, we see kind of begging this horse to trot up, and this horse is wondering why we're staring at her, right? She's like, well, where are we going? Should I be worried? Because I get the impression when we look off, like we're doing this, we're side-eyeing our horse, that we should be worried about something. And you see that kind of in this horse too. She's like, should I be worried? Good. So not great amounts of control over these horses' legs, right? We're talking about setting this horse up. See this leg kind of got away from us right there. We're gonna have to pull this back in. Gonna be a big move at this point, right? Let's pull everything back over. Let's take our time. Looks like it's a green horse, right? Looks like she's new to showmanship. So we're taking our time. We're giving her the benefit of the doubt. We get a little bit of loss of control here. It's because our chain is too long. So she's got lots of room to make that mistake. So tightening up on this chain will give her a little less room to make errors. I want to start out, when I start teaching showmanship, I start out pretty long with my chain. I want to give them lots of time to make corrections. I'll tighten it up as I train them, and then I'll loosen it back up for my show, right? So kind of keep it in mind, think about the rein length, right? If you were riding, you would start out kind of loose rein, you'd let that horse have its space, then you'd train it, tighten it down, and then you'd loosen it back up and let it have the space. So kind of the same way that I progress through my showmanship horses, starting out tight, tightening it up, and then you see that chain's not clipped on the bottom side, so it could come out the side of the halter and we'd probably be in good shape. I'm not sure if it's run up on this side. No, it's just clipped underneath. Oh, maybe it is. Can't really tell. Yeah, so the chain runs up along this side. I would probably run it all the way underneath her chin. Good slow crossover here. Beautiful place to show, right? Love the mountains. Super windy. Make sure these feet stay angled towards your horse, though. We've seen you in a couple patterns now where you've been out in the wind, wherever you are, the wind goes whipping across the plains, right? So you're on the plateau. Make sure your feet stay towards your horse, right? Make sure you're 45 towards your horse. That way you don't get that awkward looking over your shoulder towards your judge. And then again, see those steps right there. This when you're teaching a young horse, even if you're teaching it and it doesn't know very much, just move confidently into it, right? And teach it to respect your bubble. Like we start moving and we're like, oh, you didn't move? We'll just wait for you then. See that? We'll just wait for you then, right? When we're teaching this horse, let's say, hey, let's get up, let's move. Let's make sure that we're moving. Let's keep this elbow tight, right? So we're not hanging off that horse. It's gonna be hard for that horse to really aggressively push that line and push through those maneuvers if we're kind of hanging down. And we wanna get our arms up, get everything squared up, because if we're kind of wobbling down here, that horse is gonna get pulled on and it's not gonna be sure why. Remember, they can feel a fly land on their back, so they definitely can feel us leaning 5-10 pounds of pressure on that line, all right? She's in Minnesota with you. It's crazy windy. Yeah, no kidding. That's crazy. All right, so for the inspection, whoops, I swiped some bits for it. So right here, for the inspection, we're gonna say, we went awful slow through this, and setup took a little while. We could say, we'll just zero that out. Not negative, not positive for me. Wouldn't mind saying, it's close. I might have the negative half for the way she sets her feet and stuff. Yeah, I would like to see her say just a little bit more angle towards her horse, and then just more confidence through everything, right? Just be more confident. You do have spurs on in showmanship, which is kind of a no-no. A little dangerous, but we know we're out here working, we're taking videos, so not too worried about it. But our trot off is really good. Our stop at the end is good. We don't care about the stop because there's not one. Yeah, just trot away. So all we care about is the fact that the horse trotted up. It looked pretty good. We're gonna give you +half for that. Pretty clean pattern, kind of wobbling between that -half, +half range. So getting this horse just a little bit more broke in the showmanship will help out. This is much better than news in my morning coffee. There you go. This news channel's been on for like 6 hours today. So we've got Chelsea and a different horse now. So now we can see whether these problems are created by our horse or our handler. The advantage to having 2 horses, right? I think this is your young one. So again, we want to make sure that we start recording. I'm not sure who was recording for you or if we had a friend, but making sure that we have set up on the other side of our cone. So that's twice now we set up on the wrong side. Whether we caught that late and we were already in motion, kind of hard to tell, or if we just started on this side because of where that starts. So hard to tell. Again, so we see that same kind of naughtiness in this horse because he's looking for a clear leader, right? Horses want a clear leader, right? That we have a very definitive, like we're going through, we're doing things, and we just don't really get that here. We see kind of a shorter stride here. More body presence will fix a lot of these issues, right? This is a younger horse. We saw him earlier today or yesterday. So just be confident with him, right? Just move through this. Like this is better. You're keeping your feet moving. Regardless of what his feet are doing, you keep your feet moving, so I like that. So we're actually gonna gain a point for that backup, right? He was pretty crisp through that. Pretty clean through that. trot off for me is going to be a 0. No faults, no penalties there, but no gain points either. Would like to see him just move off a little bit crisper. 270. Pretty clean for the young guy. We do get a little bit swimmy with our hand here. We are having to handle our horse quite a bit. We do have that head coming up, so we're not quite ready to pull that head and neck down, teach him to cross over those neck down. The part of that's just being green, so we're not too worried about it yet. But as we go, you have lots of room here. But just make sure you're not hanging off him, right? So if you're wondering why that horse is trying to bite you and wondering why he's trying to curl underneath, he's trying to get away from that pressure, right? When you pull down in that halter, you're putting pressure over across his poll, putting pressure across his nose. He's coming down. He's going to find your hand down there and figure out, well, I could just bite that and make that pressure go away, right? So you make sure that you hold your body up, hold your shoulders up, get your showmanship right here, hold yourself up, because if you're trotting and you're holding him down, he's going to not be sure why, and he's going to look to evade that pressure, most likely by biting your hand. So same thing with our inspection, right? Our toes are pointing straight out instead of 45 to our horse. That puts everything, shoulders, hips, toes, straight ahead instead of to our horse, right? We want to be 45 degrees to our horse's feet. That for me is the park position for our horse, so he knows he's not allowed to move from then on out. So here we do end up a little bit more 45 to our horse, a little bit more natural position as we come across here. Nah, maybe not. Maybe we're pretty straight. Yeah, pretty straight there. Hard to tell from that picture. So coming across here. A little close to this cone, maybe we'll kick that. It does rest a hind foot. We do look at it, that's good. We are noticing that foot moving. It's right here. And that's just young horse stuff, making sure that he stays focused. We look at it, we go, whoa, good. He did fix his front end, which is great. He is moving a little bit. That's just youngster stuff, right? This is young horse. This is why I avoid teaching my young horses showmanship, because it's just a lot to ask for, especially as windy as it is out here. We got some snow and stuff blowing in. But we do want to make sure that we stay 45 to him. So we do adjust our feet here, it looks like. Yeah, so we do make an adjustment here, and I'm not sure why. So if you're moving around, your horse is most likely moving around. So you see where he goes into resting a foot mode. We want to avoid that. We don't want him to rest a foot as we set up. Whoops, I just wiped somebody's square out. So right here. So we're going to take a slight penalty for that setup. Switches some feet around. Doesn't really get that accuracy that we're looking for. Good, do lean forward, just touch there. We do recover easily, but see all that play right there? It's all because we're holding him back. The same time we're telling him to trot forward and follow us, we're holding him back like this, right? You can see that right here. We wonder why these horses get frustrated, right? He's gonna get frustrated, not sure why. Why should I trot off if we're holding me back? Right there, you see it. She's holding him back. Just push him up. Let's drive him forward, right? Let's drive him forward through that. If we have to speed up our trot to speed up his trot, that would be a good place to start. And you can just teach him, like if he wants to go fast to his trots, just teach him to go fast, and he'll think that that's not so much fun anymore when he wants to go fast and he can't because you're making him, right? When it's his idea, it's fun. When it's your idea, it's work. So make it your idea. If he wants to go fast, we just go faster, and he's going to figure out pretty quick, oh, it's not much fun to go fast because that's kind of, it was my idea, it's a lot of fun. It's your idea, it's kind of work. All right, so that's our whole class. That's the senior showmanship. So that being said, we can go ahead and try to sort this out. So I believe we have this first half set up. So this is Jill Rock. With 79, this Jill Rock is first place. Congratulations, Jill. It looked awesome. Kirsty's going to be second here with her horse. Whoops. Do you like the way that she did showmanship? We're going to let you watch this while I sort this. Let me separate these. Let me pull these out because this is a lot to manage. Oh, geez. Now I messed it up. Let's move this here. Move this here. Let you watch this pattern while I sort this out. We can kind of figure out what we're going for here. Do love the way she did this pattern. Was very accurate. Now I just messed it up for you guys. Let me go back. There you go. So we have that one. First, second, third. Come across here. Third.
You finish up the placings?
Yep. All right. So there's our winning pattern for you guys. You guys can see how she did this, how she executed this pattern. Really like the way she went through. Really like how she executed. Real crisp across there. Real confident in what she's doing. Very business-like. No drama. Lets me pay attention to the horse. Horse does look off a little bit here. Probably could have made that a little bit better. But very accurate.
It's a good pattern.
Yeah, really good pattern. She did a nice job.
Nice horse.
Yep, very, very good. So there's your winner. Congratulations. Let me move this over here. We'll move these back in. Now that I have these sorted out, and I'll try to find everybody's pattern. We can sort them out in order. So let me double check my scores. Yes. All right. So we're going to be Kirsty second. So here's second, Kirsty. Third place is going to be Miranda Schneider. So Miranda right here, Miranda, All I Ever Want. This is good, really good pattern. Just didn't have the pizzazz the other ones did, right? Her horse gets a little bit away from her. The other two had a lot of crispness to them. We were a little bit safe here. One of our first patterns that we saw, I don't know if you guys remember it, but she was pretty accurate through everything, right? A lot of business-like, very, very clean through her patterns. So fourth place is going to be Kama in fourth place. Really good pattern here, really clean, really crisp. I like the way she moved through this. I like the business-like aspect of it. That little hesitation right there ended up costing us some points. Probably would have been the difference between third and fourth for you. It was very, very close though, right? Our fourth, fifth, sixth horses, very, very, very close, all right? So this class, our top of this class, really nice, very, very good. So then we can go, let me sort out, so we're here, fourth. So then fifth place is going to be Megan Connolly. So you are here, where are we? Right here, Megan Connolly. So where's our fourth place horse? Coming across here. Did a really nice job. A couple little hook here, this little hook in our neck, probably, again, would have separated fourth through sixth, right? You guys are only a little bit apart. If we had fixed that little hook in our neck, maybe we would have corrected that. That would have been awesome. That's probably our biggest hit right there, but I love the pace right here. Love that you're driving up through that. Really working this horse. Beautiful backup. I like that. Well executed. So then, sixth place horse, Jennifer Thomas. Let me find you. Jennifer Thomas, Stacey Thomas? I don't know why I wrote Jennifer. Stacey it is. No, Jennifer's up top. This Chevy's rocking. This Chevy's rocking. This one. Fourth, fifth. There we go. All right, so here we go. Jennifer Thomas, you were, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth place. Like this pattern, really well executed. Probably could have fixed a couple little things here and there. We do have, we did miss a little bit in that ready and trot right here. This trot off right here. Wish this would have been a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner. We kind of lose a little bit. Horse kind of drags behind us. We kind of lose a little bit of our trot. Let's get those toes up. We're kind of running on our toes. Would have helped a lot to get on our heels, leading with our heels as we do that showmanship line. And then seventh place, Corey Hall. With which horse? Skip the famous, this one? Yes, Skip the Fancy Jack. This is going to be our next place horse. I'm going to be bringing up seventh here. And then our eighth place horse, Joshua Lamarck. Which one? This one. This is going to be a seventh place horse right, or eighth place horse right here. Yep, perfect. Move this up here. There we go. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth place. There you go. There's top 8. Really nice class, guys. You guys did awesome. Super tight, right? That's top of that class was fantastic. You guys did amazing. Jennifer said hi, Macy.
Hello.
So congratulations to everybody that showed in this class. You guys did amazing, right? Some really tough patterns in there. Just want to, some things to work on. Hopefully that helps you guys. Hopefully we get a little bit clarity as to why we place the way we do, what we're looking for in this class. I'm going to take a little break. I've got a vet check at my barn. I've got horses to ride, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. I've been live for a long time, so I probably won't be live at my barn tonight. I want to try to go and get my horses done as quickly as possible so I can get back here and let's judge some more of this show. We've got lots of show left, so I want to make sure that we get that done. And we can kind of go through and get this sorted out. So we got the open showmanship left, and then we move into open riding stuff. So I think we can finish this up tonight. We may be going till the wee hours of the morning. Maybe we have to do a little bit tomorrow night. I have a full schedule tomorrow. We didn't know how long this would take, so we'll try to get as much done as we can, and we can kind of go from there. Becky Carson's have a lot to work on, so many good points. Can't believe how fast you pick up on that stuff. Yeah, it's easy. Like, And I have the advantage of being able to replay, right? I can look at my notes, take some notes, and come back. But I mean, this class, it's not as hard as people think, right? It's just about staying open, just about staying clean, just being a good dance partner. Just want everything to be smooth, right? If I feel there's a spot that's not smooth or my horse isn't up there, then maybe we can smooth that out and we can pick up some points there. So good. I'm glad you picked stuff up, Becky. I hope everybody learned something. And like I said, just one person's opinion. Obviously, this changes a lot based on who's watching the class, but I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite classes. I really enjoy watching this. I really enjoy picking it apart, and hopefully we can get you guys all in that +3 range when you go show at the real shows. So yes, fingers crossed for pregnant Marley. We'll keep you guys posted. I'm sure we'll make a post about it if she's pregnant.
If she's pregnant, I'm gonna cry.
Macy's gonna be freaking out. So yeah, so that'll be really fun. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We're gonna take a little break. I'm not sure what time we'll be back tonight. I'll probably put a post up and let you know. I will say it could be as late as 9 o'clock, and maybe we'll go from 9 to midnight. Just go from 9 to 1 a.m. Whatever it takes to get this done. I know we did 2 showmanship classes in 2.5 hours after break. So it may be burning the midnight oil here on this one, but we will get it judged. This horse show just runs late, right? It's just crazy. So just like real life. And what would it be if we weren't horse showing and we weren't up till 3 a.m. at the horse show, right? That's what we're looking for. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thank you for sending your patterns in. Thank you for supporting this show, the Show Your Heart Out virtual horse show. It's a good foundation, right? Those guys do good work over there. Thank you so much for having me as your judge. I'll be back this evening. We'll put a post up. We'll go live. If you want to make sure that you don't miss it, right? If you enjoy watching this and you want to watch the open showmanship, we should see some really good patterns in there. We'll go into the riding stuff. Make sure you hit the follow LaRose show horses on there. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. If you're on YouTube, whatever you're on, hit the bell so you get notified whenever we go live. We'll be on later tonight. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, good day, wherever you are, and we will see you in the next one.